Hello and welcome to Entmoot Live. I hope you can all hear and see me well. Let me know if I've muted myself or anything like that in the comments. Seems there's a lot of you guys in here already. Maybe everyone's desperate for some SBG content over the Christmas period. We're all stuffed full of beer and drinks and wine and food of all different shapes and sizes. But it's a pleasure to have you here for a review of the year. Not just a review of the year though. We've got a few different things that we'll be tackling throughout the course of the next, I don't know, hour and a half, that sort of time. I don't think we'll be here all night. We certainly won't be here for 24 hours, as someone's already mentioned. Nathan, I think, said here for 24 hours. No, but I do. It's been the first time since I've done a live thing since I did that crazy 24 hours thing. So thanks very much for anyone who did watch that. It was really nice of you, and we raised loads of money. So cheers, £1,400 and something for the Trussell Trust charity in the end. So wicked work to everyone watching. So I really appreciate that. The course of the evening, I'm going to get Benji Bowles from Benji's Hobbies on in a bit. He's formerly of Top Table Gaming, the YouTube channel as well. He'll be here joining us. We're going to just have a bit of a chat, and he's going to be kind of my co-host for the night. So it squishes this radiator from the sort of corner of my screen. I really need to come up with a nice green screen background or something like that. But anyway, so lots of things coming. Let me have a look. First of all, it's been a long time coming. This was the very first issue of SBG magazine. Out of the frying pan, they even stole a podcast name there. So there's that. And this is the front cover of the very first issue of SBG magazine, which was released 2014, so 6 years ago now. It's got some good stuff in there, some really nice. I remember buying, I can't remember why or when I bought it. Either way, it was really cool. I was like, this is like White Dwarf magazine, except only SBG, which is amazing. So I'm going to be looking through issue 10. Issue 10, I've got a sneak peek into that, and look at the artwork. I mean, it's absolutely majestic. I must say, this is really, really something else. That's not even the half of it, I tell you. So I'll be looking through a bit of that and having a talk through with Ben, who's going to be in a second. Hopefully, I'll send the invite to him. That'll help. He's one of the many people who are involved in the magazine, of course, written and produced by Damien and Tom, formerly of Palantir fame and all that sort of stuff. Although I suppose still of Palantir fame if they ever do it again. So anyway, yes, we're going to talk through that. But also, I kind of wanted to talk to you all a bit about 2020 as a year for SBG. Now, I realise, obviously, there's going to be a big spectre of coronavirus hovering over 2020, but it's worth noting we've had some great stuff this year, such as War in Rohan, a 20. I think. Let me just double check this. I should have checked this beforehand. That's a 20. Oh, it was late 2019, wasn't it? Okay. Well, either way, that was pretty much 2020 because that was right in December, wasn't it? So I'll count that as 2020. We've had the Matched Play Guide. That was fresh this year, 2020. We had Quest of the Ring Bearer. Amazing. 2020, not so long ago. We had Best of the White Dwarf magazine. So, you know, we also had some good, and there was a good and bad releases of the year. I'm not a fan of the White Dwarf magazine, mainly because all the stuff that is in it I have already. But anyway, let's just have a jump in the chat. Say, let me know what you're up to. Let me know what you're doing this evening. Let me know if ever you can hear and understand everything. I've had some internet issues throughout the day, so apologies if that cocks up again, as it has done in previous things, although I managed 24 hours, so you'd think I'd be all right. But let me know what you're working on as well. I've put a post in the Great British Hobbit League Facebook page about which basically has a little Entmoot Live 2020 year in review thing, and show me your hobby progress. So if you do see that, drop in some pictures. I'd love to see them. We can share them all later. But let's see what you're all up to. Let's see who's in tonight. Nathan's in tonight, just finishing the final Queen's Gambit episode. Yes, a great series. I really like that. I've been watching the first three over Christmas, actually. So, yeah, I really like that. Top Table Gaming, edge brushing in the background. Excellent stuff. Evening, Steve. Nice to see you there. Nice to see you. Who else we got? We've got Guardians of Wiltshire, Dewey Evans in here. Hope you're keeping well. Looking forward to tuning in. Thank you very much. This all must have happened before. Oi, Steve. Hey, bra. There we go. We're having a chat. Second Gorgoroth Beast, Frederick. That's amazing. Pop some pictures of that in the Great British Hobbit League thing. That'll be amazing. I'd love to see the work there. Joe Holzman, good evening. Good evening, Joe. Frederick, still not done with the first one, but hey ho. Who else? Two Beast Howders. Excellent. Oh, look at that. We've got a Gorgoroth Beast. If only it was the like Battle Streams of Middle Earth. If only it was the Gorgoroth Beast episode, you'd be in for the running to win some goodies, but not this evening. Building Legolas Mounted. I hope that's the new made to order one, or sort of more made to order one. That's cool. Nice. Drop those pictures in there in the stream. Nathan, drinks and snacks are ready. Let's settle in for 24 hours. No, thank you. Not again. Certainly not for another year. Who else we got? A plan. You need to cut it up, convert my second one to a bunch of magnets. Yeah, it's a good idea. Nick, morning, evening, sorry. How is everyone? Well, I am anyway. Not too shabby. Right, there's lots of people having. Yes, we can. Oh, this is good. We can see and hear you. This is always good. Way too many sweets from the last few days next to me. Yeah, smash them down. This is the time. This is the time. If you've got these days off this time of the year and the run up to New Year's, absolutely smash the rest of the chocolates down. I think I've got a few quality streets left in. Let's see what happens. Right. Okay. Let's see who we got. Nathan here as well. Excellent year for Lord of the Ring hobby. After several years away, finally picked up Pelennor Fields. Excellent. Yes, this is good news. This is good news. I'm just getting word that I might have the dodgy audio. Just let me know if it's a bit dodgy. We'll see what happens. Who else? Who else we got? Nick Brewer's in. It's brought a few new people into. I think there's more than a few. It helps. Well, I mean, for one, for me, I'm thinking Out of the Frying Pan, the podcast. I certainly didn't hear that. Was it the start of this year? It might have been last year that it was started, late last year. But either way, that's new to me. And there's a load of new podcasts as well, which is amazing. So I'm working on a beer tonight. Nice Bateman's beer. Who else is in? Evening, Michael Haskell. Good evening indeed. Welcome to the stream, Michael. Hope you're well. Merry Christmas to everyone. I should say Merry Christmas to everyone and a Happy New Year for the next couple of days. Top Table Gaming has been a challenge, to say the least, for 2020. Yeah, too right. But I feel the community's come together, got a little bit more acquainted with each of our streams, podcasts, etc. Yeah, that's right. Giz, or it's probably Gus or Giz, something like that. Apologies for butchering that already. Good evening. How have you been doing? Painting Sauron today. Drop it in the Facebook group. We'll have a look later. Lovely treat for the evening. I'm guessing this is Damien. Lovely treat for the evening, Harry. Looking forward to an evening of nerdy hobby while finishing off hobby bingo. We'll talk about that later. That's one of the things I didn't promo. And we've got Nathan again, not painted all Christmas, but about to go dry for a while, so we'll get some done. There you go. How exciting. Now, so I was going to do reviews of everything, but I think we need to have a co-host, don't we? He's been advertised. I've bigged him up. We've got him all excited. I can see him in the little studio waiting area. He's giggling. He's excited. He's thumbs-upping. So we might as well introduce my co-host or guest this evening. It's Ben Bowles. Good evening, Benji's Hobby.
Hello. How are we doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Yeah, not too bad. Bit of disappointing news about tier 4 for everybody, but you know, it's. I think we've all come to expect it now, really, and I think it was on the cards for a while, but there we go.
Yeah, sadly, yeah. I guess it's going to, and a lot of people are going to be entering the different restrictions this evening. But we don't need to dwell on it. I mean, ultimately, for us gamers, it's probably going to make a difference in terms of
exactly
tournaments and things like that. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
It gives us an excuse to stay at home, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, we can get some more done and all that sort of stuff. But I suppose that, I mean, yeah, you brought it up. It has been a year of coronavirus stuff, and I suppose that's been good and bad for the hobby. But just so people know, I mean, you're Ben from Top Table Gaming, Benji's Hobbies. Just tell us a little bit about yourself first of all before we.
Yeah, so I've been in the hobby back in the hobby for about 5 years now. And for a while, or for about 18 months, I was part of Top Table Gaming alongside Steve and Jay. And then earlier this year, I decided to sort of branch out on my own. It was partly sort of coronavirus. I don't think I'd have taken that plunge, really, if it wasn't for coronavirus and sort of having a bit of time to myself and kind of, I guess, reevaluating the sort of thing that I wanted to do, really. And yeah, now I'm the presenter of Benji's Hobbies.
Excellent. And I know you've been doing loads of different things, like you've been casting your own bases and all that sort of stuff. But I think a lot of people may have seen your first, I don't know whether it was your first video, but certainly one of your videos where you converted your shed into quite a spectacular hobby area.
Yeah, so that's where I'm in at the moment, and I was kind of a bit worried at the time that it might get a bit cold in winter, but I think the kind of cold snap and things at the moment, it's proven that it's the work that I put in with the insulation has been worth it. But yeah, it's a really nice kind of working environment. It's somewhere out the house, so I can sort of airbrush at night. I can have music on. I don't have to sort of be, I guess, considerate about other people in the house and things. So yeah, it's nice having my own space. Not that I didn't have my own space before. I had like a spare bedroom, but it's slightly different when it's kind of adjacent to the main bedroom and things. So I probably wouldn't be able to join you at this sort of time at night, really, if I was still back up there. So yeah, it's nice to have a proper space, if that makes sense.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'm glad, and just the process of seeing it all come together was really quite special. I mean, I don't know how experienced you are with building and things like that, but it looked pretty cool when you did it. I mean, I was very impressed. I'm trying to do my own version of something similar, but I'm nowhere near as far along as that.
Well, I bought a house. It's got to be about 8 years ago now, and it needed a lot of work doing to it. So I'd say I'm an amateur DIYer. I've got a good idea of how to use tools and things, and nothing I've done in here is particularly complicated. But yeah, I think if you're not used to doing it, then yeah, it can look quite complicated. But it's all very basic, and I know I had sort of Steve, who is a tradesman, kind of goaded me for a few mistakes that I made and things that he'd have done differently and things, which I think you're always going to get, really, when you put things like that up on the internet. But no, I'm over the moon with it. Really pleased with it.
Well, if people haven't already watched it, and just check it out on Benji's Hobbies, but wait until we're finished with the street first.
Yeah.
All right. So, as I mentioned, this is kind of a year in review. That was the idea of this. I mean, we've got it here on New Year's Eve, almost New Year's Eve, and 2020 has been an odd year, but actually, I think it's been a pretty good year for the SBG hobby. And I wanted to go through a few things, if you're happy to go through a few of our favourites, and we can all perhaps share our own ideas of how good this has been in terms of releases and things like that. So that's what I want to do first of all. This is the SBG review of the year. I'll get my little ticker on. So for you, are there any standout releases or standout books or standout models particularly? I mean, what's 2020 been like for you as an SBG player?
For me, I started out at the beginning of this year when we were allowed to play. We had like a little slow grow campaign locally, and I started out a Rohan army, and I worked sort of quite hard on it at the beginning of the year to sort of get enough stuff to participate in this slow grow. So for me, I was most excited about AMO when we got that announcement, and that was at the very sort of beginning of the lockdowns and things again, where we sort of had that announcement, and it's just that AMO that we've wanted for so long, because the other one hasn't really stood the test of time, I don't think, compared to some of the models in the range, and that plastic one just absolutely blows some of the older models out of the water, as you'd expect, and it's on par, if not better, for me than the new Theoden and the new Gandalf as well. I think the detail on the armor is absolutely superb, and all the options for it and things as well, just amazing.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I mentioned just before you came on, some of the releases this year include. I mean, I said War in Rohan erroneously because I think it was December. In fact, I think it was here around for the league finale of the GBHL in December. So Steve's event late when would have been first week of December, second week of December, something like that.
If I remember correctly, the book came out on the day of the finale. Because I think
Will Champion used it. Yeah. Cheeky bugger. If you watch it, you are a cheeky bugger, Will. But you did good. But yeah, this is a great book, and so I think we got the book, didn't we? And then on the first, so that means the first few sort of months of the year we were kind of delving into it, really, only just to and slowly getting that drip feed of releases, which included things like Helm Hammerhand and stuff like that, which I don't think anyone could have predicted this year. No. That obviously you could have predicted it at the end of the year once you got this, but you wouldn't have been able to predict before War in Rohan came out that next year or in 2020 we'd be getting a Helm Hammerhand model.
No, absolutely not. I think most people expected some sort of Rohan-ness, but not to sort of. And in all honesty, I didn't think that they'd kind of delve into sort of Helm Hammerhand and things this time round. I thought they'd kind of maybe save that for another supplement, but I'm sure there must be so many ideas and things floating around the Middle Earth team. I'm sure they've got plenty of stuff coming to keep us occupied, and they thought, well, if we can get it into this supplement, then great. Oh, you all right?
Yeah, yeah. Just knocked some toy soldiers off the shelf, actually, but it's all right. They're still in their boxes, to my shame.
Oh, that's all right then.
But yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, maybe they do have ideas for more historical stuff, but either way, I think to get something like a Helm Hammerhand, it just shows how 2020 hasn't been anywhere near as bad as well, for for various different reasons. Obviously, it's been crap, but for lots of reasons, there's sort of stuff to be celebrated. I mean, like you say, you've got the new AMR model, we've got Treebeard and all that, and who was it? Which one was it? Was it Quickbeam or was it? Yeah, it was Quickbeam.
Sure, it's Quickbeam.
Yeah, because obviously there's the other one, isn't there? There's Beachbone and Quickbeam. I think it's Quickbeam, isn't it? But either way, going from the start of the year, it's kind of been a War in Rohan year, really, because it's still getting releases at the end.
And I think I think part of that is down to kind of probably the staggered releases and things, because obviously Games Workshop shut down for a number of weeks. I don't know exactly how long, and obviously they're probably, like most business or a lot of business out there, they are probably sort of slowly getting back into it. And obviously I would imagine that they had to prioritize 40k, which is their big money spinner. I think we all like to think that Middle Earth is this huge part of the pie, but I think it's probably a very small part of what they do. So
yeah, it's still a specialist game after all.
It is, yeah, and and in all honesty, you see a lot of complaining online. Oh, why can't they do this? Why can't they do that? I'm just very grateful for anything that they make. I joined. Well, I started playing again at the very sort of tail end of when we didn't really know what was going to be, whether the Middle Earth SBG was going to be carrying on, or the Hobbit SBG as it was at the time was going to be carrying on. So I'm just really grateful for anything that we now get.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Feel free, by the way, if you're watching at home, drop in your comments. What's your favourite release of 2020, whether it be a model or a rule book or anything? Drop it in the comments below. I'm intrigued at everyone's perspective. Just have a quick. I know there's people have been sort of having bants between each other about what's this is Ben's standout releases in the shed. I don't know what I can't quite work out what that's a relation to, but either way, I remember your.
It's it can't be discussed on air, but we'll leave that one.
I liked the Halloween video you did, which of the spooky experiences. It really got me, that one. That was really good. What else we got? And Nathan says, in a normal year, we'd probably be disappointed at the amount of releases, but hopefully the growth of community and sales of what has come will have opened up a few eyes at GW. So that's good. Yeah. Here we go. This is AMR and Saruman are the best new plastics. I must say, I hadn't thought of Saruman, but it's a very gorgeous, it's a very good model. I mean, I haven't got it myself, I don't think. I know I buy some of these plastics and never not actually touch them, but I've got.
I'm much the same. Like, I think this year all my plans and things kind of just went out the window, and I've kind of started again, really. So good choices there. Who else we got? Oh yes, Maverick says, speaking of tree beard, new look, Harry. Yes, it's the beard. Thanks very much. It's looking all right. Warbats says Top Table Gaming. Steve did an unboxing and painting of them last night. I don't know whether was it last night or the night before. I missed it sadly, but either way, it's a great choice. Warbats, they do look really nice. And was that Crabane this year as well? So we've had a good year. Flyers. Well, I think they were released at the was it the GT, or was it Throne of Skulls back in March? I think they were.
They would have been. No, I think it was the GT, because Dunland was all released at the GT. I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I can't remember. Either way, we'll say it's all this year, because then it makes 2020 seem that little bit better. Who else? Maverick says Hammerhand is my personal favourite. Totally agree. He's a lovely model. It's a lovely model. Actually, I that's a great choice. But I've got some pictures of mine. Damien says Quest of the Ring Bears a highlight for me. Completely changed, inspired, and reinvigorated my hobby entirely. As for models, I think I have to vote for the Crabane or Keeper of the Dungeons, which I must say I agree with. And once I can get rid of this comment, which is in the way, I'll show you my. This is what I put up as. This is my favourite release of the year. So this is my version of the Keeper of the Dungeons, and it's one of the few, which we'll get to later, and one of the few models I've ever bought, and then immediately it's jumped to the top of my painting queue.
Yeah,
and I did it in
a painting guide as well for this, didn't you?
I did, yes. It's on the channel if you want to watch it. But it is, it's one of my favourite models. I think it's one of the best orc models in the game. I think it's one of the few that really captures the kind of mightiness of the orcs. And I don't think any of the others quite get the heft quite right.
I was going to say that the last one, it was a great model. And didn't this one just come completely out of left field? Nobody was expecting that one. And then, comparing it, because I've got the old one as well. Comparing it to the old one, it feels like it's got the proportions so much more right with this one. Like as you say, the heft and the size of him. He's a proper brute.
He really is. I mean, he's a lovely model, and props to whoever sculpted him, because I think it's a guy called Edgar Ramos. Who I'd never heard of before, but apparently did a lot of the Hobbit era sculpts, and I don't know whether he still works at GW. But either way, great stuff. And just a second version of this guy that I guess would have been a second version of Azog or Bolg or whatever before the movies all changed, and then they didn't really need it when he became a less significant character. But still a great model, and one of those great ones from this year. And talking about Quest of the Ring Bearer, this is me doing Farmer Maggot's Co-op. One of the few first times I've actually had a chance to play a few of the scenarios as well. So Quest of the Ring Bearer is a great shout in terms of getting people playing scenarios, I think it's done a really good job of that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think especially with some of the earlier scenarios as well, because there's such low model count, it's easy to have like a pickup game with them, I guess. Whereas, if you're talking kind of bigger numbers and some of the bigger scenarios, you need so many more models for it. It can almost be a bit daunting, especially if you are just coming back into the hobby for the first time. So I think it's definitely kind of reinvigorated that. And I think, going back to a point you made earlier about, more people, or I think wasn't somebody in the comments made the suggestion that obviously people come back into the hobby during lockdown. And I think there was that huge influx at the beginning where people were having the time to tidy up their lofts, or they were bored, so they were going and hunting down the things that they used to do as kids and things. And I think it's brought a whole host of new people back in. And I think Quest of the Ring Bearer is almost perfectly timed, really.
Yeah, 100%. And I've tried playing scenarios before, and I've played a couple, not many, but mainly that is exactly what you're sort of suggesting, is that I guess I didn't have enough models for certain ones. I think Jasmine and I had a go at playing a couple of the Gondor at War scenarios when that came out, but then we just didn't have all the models for it, and it was really frustrating because you think, well, like you get to one or two scenarios in, and then you go, oh, I don't have 20 clansmen of Lamadon or whatever it was, and then you kind of stop because nobody wants to do them out of order, really. So it's nice to be able to go.
It is almost a little bit prohibitive, like unless you've got like a big gaming club or something, or a big local community, it is very difficult. Obviously, this year that's not really been possible. Yeah. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
100%. Let's see what other people have been saying. I think the last one was this one. Nick says, not a new release, but the remake of the classic Metal Haldare Elves and Uruk Scouts. Yeah, that's a good choice, actually. Just getting some of those lovely old sculpts back in the ether, I suppose, after many years out is really nice. And crucially cuts the cost of the ones on eBay, which is really nice. So Nathan says Saruman kit may be the best plastic kit I've seen in years. Obviously it would have been good to get them out of Grimmer in the box, but still a brilliant kit. Yeah, that's a good point. Could have done with that. Personality Zabri has to be a winner though. Well, that's good because it leads me into my next picture, which is not here. I didn't upload that one, so anyway, yeah, I've got my Personality as a Brie were definitely one of my favorites. There's just something about it to me that some of those models, the kind of darkness and this sort of shadows on them. Yeah. I haven't even got the model. I've got it here. I think they would definitely be my favorite. I don't know whether you can actually. You're probably not going to be able to see my version, but there, a bit to the left. There we go. This is my Barlam and Butterbur, and you know what? I think it's a really characterful model, and it's just a bit different. It's almost like a kind of. I bet it'll make a great Dungeons and Dragons play piece if people ever play that. But it's just one of those ones that's. It's just it's nice to have characters from the books that. From the films that you recognise, but perhaps you didn't think of ever having a chance to see in the game.
Do you really need them? Like, for any of them, you don't really need them. But they're just lovely, nice to have models.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, you kind of get that complaint. Oh, well, we need this, we need that. It's like, well, yeah, but this is nice to have something like this. And actually, just because, it's not something that is a centerpiece to, it's not a new Aragorn, it's not a new Boromir or anything like that. Just because it's not a centerpiece model doesn't mean that it's any less kind of valid, I guess, as a model. But yeah,
I think I'd probably I would like them to fill gaps in the range, definitely, but create models for profiles that have been there that we haven't got stuff for. But it's nice to get new stuff, and I can't complain because I like them anyway, so I don't really mind. Where else we've got? Dan Collister, welcome Dan from Out of the Frying Pan. Says Quest of the Ring Bearer all day long, followed by the Keeper. Yeah, Keeper's a big one. He is ace. He's such a great model. And GPHL says gold indeed. Best release. Oh, I've just jumped a bit. Best release for me was Quest of the Ring Bearer. Like Damien, absolutely changed hobby plans as far as models go. I voted for Keeper of the Dungeons. Well, there you go. Great choice. I don't think I'd have. I wanted to vote it. I didn't realise it was this year, so otherwise I'd have voted for it in that poll definitely. But yeah, those. If I'm going evil, it would definitely be Keeper of the Dungeon. Good. It would definitely be the Personalities of Brie. Dewey says, loved all the releases. Don't think I've got many of them, but just love new material. Yeah, sure. Uruk Battering Ram, good choice. I may have 24 clansmen. Well, maybe we need to get that Gondor or scenario played, Dewey. I'll hold you to it when this world returns to normal. I do hope there are plans to fill in the model gaps and the world is back to normal. Yeah, agreed. Quest was top of the tree for me. Pun intended. Oh, very good, very good. I hope that came under the tree for Christmas, Michael. And did you cast the base for Barliman? No, that's just a few bits of lollipop stick on the bottom. So there you go. But yeah, now something else. So we talked War in Rohan and Quest Ringbow a little bit. This little guy came out this year. And for all the competitive players out there, this really revolutionized it. And this has changed, I think, probably tournaments and stuff, probably more so than any of the new releases book-wise would have done. I mean, having extra gaming scenarios, which is a big deal, like especially for us tournament goers. I know you go to a lot of tournaments, Ben.
Yeah.
And
it's been so long since I've looked at this. You've just reminded me. I completely forgot that this was this year.
Well, it's funny because I keep hearing people saying like, "Oh, I still haven't played Command the Battlefield. I still haven't played Retrieval, or I still haven't played the doubles event scenarios." So actually, this one, when we finally get a chance, I think it was probably. I'm trying to think. I played this. I got this. Was it January, February, something? Anyway, it's definitely
January. Yeah,
it might have been. It was really early, but then there were only maybe 2-3 events before it was used, and then even then there weren't. We didn't necessarily get the scenarios that are new. So I think that's something that we forget about. That actually this year we haven't played many tournaments, but next year when we get back to tournaments, eventually we'll have 6 scenarios that perhaps we haven't played as much of. So that's a great thing for 2020. What an awesome!
I'd completely forgotten about that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Did you say you'd not played any of the scenarios in it yet?
I played one of them right at the beginning, but I can't remember for the life of me which one it was now.
So it'd be like having a new book when we go into spring or whatever.
It's been so long since I've even played a game. It'll be like playing an entirely new game again.
How has it been for you in terms of that? I mean, have you been able to play anything, or did you get any games in the summer when it was a bit easier?
Not played anything. I think during the summer I was quite sort of focused on getting my new channel set up. So when there potentially might have been an opportunity to go and play, I kind of put my focus elsewhere, I guess. And I guess I was just trying to be sort of cautious and do the right thing, and obviously mix as little as possible with other people. Really, I've got there's a whole host of local people that play, but it's just sort of just trying to do that socially responsible thing and keep my distance. It's not a necessary part of life. No. So yeah, just trying to stay away as much as possible, really.
Fair enough. Each their own. I'm looking at this sort of thing happening. Doesn't it make you uncomfortable looking at how close these people are standing together?
Yeah. Whoa, they're touching people.
I know, and that was in the early March. That was so. Yeah. That's a master and commander, and I won a trophy for something on the right there with no beard. For I think it must have been being friendly or something. But because I don't win anything else. But that's crazy to think that was in March, and then this one was January. This was one of the earliest events. This was look at how crowded that room is.
Yeah, everyone gets so close together. Yeah,
that's February. So that was the start of the GBHL League in February up in Ripon. We were playing 1,250 points. I took 3 trebuchets and a bolt thrower and Gandalf and Denethor and various other people to that tournament, which was great fun and actually did quite well.
Like that, you can just take loads of stuff, can't you?
Just the stupid things like 3 trebuchets and
3 trebuchets.
But it's stuff like that. I mean, so actually, I've had some great tournaments this year, despite the restrictions. So February played the biggest points tournament I've ever played at 1,250. Played Master and Commander, the other one here. The whole idea of it was that it was the GBHL Masters. All the best players from the previous year get into an invitational, but then you double up with them. You play doubles with them on the first day or the second day. I can't remember which way around it was. And I, despite not being a master, I went along, played singles on the first day, and then doubles on the first day with Ed Ball as my partner, and then the second day, hopefully put my skills I picked up to good use with on the second day, which was great. And it's a great tournament. And
that's such a great way. Did you pick anything up from Ed then?
Yeah. I picked up some good. He sure knows how to use a fell beast. So because I deliberately said, can we use a fell beast? Because I want to try out some tricks of the trade that you could help me with. But it was great fun. It was great fun, and again, looking at the positives of this year, that's something that I wouldn't have done without it. And that that was only 9 months ago. I mean, it's a pregnancy away.
Yeah. The last event that I went to I didn't go to the event, but I went to the evening for the seminar. I went to it was the GT back in March, wasn't it? And it was all kind of I think everyone was kind of starting to see the severity of what was going on and things. And I remember sort of looking around the room and thinking, God, there's a lot of people in this room. Like, one person's got it, it's going to spread like wildfire in here. But it was kind of before there was any restrictions or anything put in place, and that would have been the last time I kind of saw a lot of people from the community.
I was at I think it was Desolation of Stockport, that James Clark tournament in March, and that was probably a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before restrictions started. And we were all playing like, finger on my rim. This is the drinking game where everyone touches a glass. And you look at that now, and there were 15 guys with fingers on this glass, and you have to work out how many people take the finger off and all this sort of stuff. And you think, that was only a week or two before we were told to stay indoors, the pubs were closed, and this was life or death situation, which is strange. But anyway, that was still this year, so there's much joy to be had in the coming 12 months.
There is indeed. I think definitely feeling a lot more positive about the next 12 months to come now. Obviously vaccinations and stuff. So I think we will definitely see a move towards normality again sooner rather than later.
I hope so. Now, with the fantastic news today, we've got enough vaccine to go around the population. Hopefully that will mean that we'll be able to crack on and do some more releases. Right, okay, let's get back into the comments for a brief period. Drop your stuff in if any questions. Big strength for peak Lord of the Rings was cool models we didn't necessarily need. We didn't need every costume every character ever wore, but there were some great releases along the way. Yeah, that's a really good, strong argument there, Nathan, because I've got one right to hand. One of my favourite models is Frodo in orc armor and Sam in orc armor, and I've never ever used them in a game apart from maybe
cool, they
are really nice models, and they remind me of those great scenes in the movie. So,
and it was, in the first sort of few years of Lord of the Rings as it was back in the day, but you had the original Fellowship sculpt, then you had the Heroes of Helm's Deep, then you had the Heroes of the West, and then I think it was Breaking of the Fellowship, kind of all those slight different variations of all the same characters, because obviously we didn't have all three films to work from at the time as well, when the first initial releases came out. But it was really nice having Aragorn in armor, Aragorn without cloak, Aragorn with cloak. It's nice to have all those sort of variations, and to play out your favorite scene from the film.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what it's all about. Ultimately, it's about recreating those moments from the books and the films, which we probably wouldn't be playing it now, a niche hobby, if we didn't like the films and the books. Let's be honest. So, other questions? Battle streams in Middle Earth. Question for Harry: does it ever bother you that you have relentlessly refused to refer to your 3 times Trebuchet army as Triple Shay? If not, it really should. It's good. I actually called it 3 Bachet when I first called it. I just forgotten that I'd call it Triple Shay. Doesn't really work, Damien, does it?
Three Bachet.
3 Bachet is better. But Trebuchet as well. Yeah, Tri Bachet. Yes, that's better. Actually, Tri Bachet is just as good. But yeah, Triple Shay. Not so sure, actually, Damien. I think I've got you on that pun, although I haven't referred to it in a while. So 3 Bachet it is. Frederick says, "Damn, that Gorgoroth Howder is difficult to assemble. Luckily, I have a kettle in my room to heat up and bend apart." Oh gosh, yeah. I've heard horror stories about the Gorgoroth beasts, but I've never actually done them. They do look really nice when they're painted, even when they're just sculpted, actually, just glued together. They look really nice. But I think Dewey is also building one as well. Michael says, only tournament this year was Desolation mid-ish March. We were at the elbows phase then. Yeah, Michael probably went to bed before we were drinking out the same cup. But yeah, we did. I think it was kind of, everyone was sort of saying, Well, look, if we've been seeing people, we've seen someone who's got a cough or whatever, we'll wash our hands. And I think I had some sanitizer to wash our hands, but that went out the window a bit when we were drunk. You can see why they closed the pubs. Best bottle is Dying Boromir, but I have used him on the table, or I haven't used him on the table. I'm guessing it's haven't. So there you go. There we go. Here we are. Look at this. Trebuchet and 3 Boucher are both good. As long as it's something Shay, I'll be happy. It's just a rancid way to call it my 3 Trebuchet army. Totally agree there, Damien. So with that in mind, I guess we don't really. There's probably not a favourite event of the year because you've been to so few. But have you? Are there any that you're particularly looking forward to in 2021? And which are your favourite of 2020? If you did get to anything?
Well, I didn't get to any. Well, I was intending to get married this year.
Of course you were. Yes.
Which obviously didn't happen. But there was various ones that I was kind of planning to go to and kind of hoping to get to. But obviously that never happened. I know we had a few discussions because I was hoping to come to yours, which was meant to be in October.
It would have been in October, yeah. And I had high hopes for it to actually happen, but it never did.
Yeah. So I was meant to be getting married in June. So there was obviously money saving going on before that. And I was like, after the wedding, it should be fine. It should be fine. And then obviously everything kind of kicked off. And then we moved it to August. We're like, we'll probably be fine by August. And then it's kind of been pushed back to next year now. So fortunately, all the saving is done. So I don't feel guilty now about going to events in the future. But I was looking forward to, potentially getting to yours. I was looking forward to Seven Stones.
Yeah, of course.
Really looking forward to that because me and Steve were going to go to that, and we've kind of booked our place for next year already. So fingers firmly crossed that is going to be going ahead. And I didn't take part, but I was I helped Steve out in Scouring of Cheshire. And again, I was kind of looking forward to that this year, even just to sort of go along and say hello to everybody and kind of just enjoy time with the community. But obviously that had to be put on the back burner as well a few times as well, by the looks of it, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly it. It's just so many postponements and delays, and I can see that. I mean, Nathan's just mentioning it on the comments below about being reluctant to buy tickets now because of the unsure, not being sure of whether stuff is going to happen. But equally, yeah, I think they'll eventually happen. I mean, people have been really kind and just said, well, look, I'll guarantee I'll definitely come to your tournament whenever it happens. It's, they've already paid the tickets. I bought a load of prizes and all that sort of stuff. They're in a box in a cupboard under the stairs. All this lovely.
I think that's the thing. Like, if as long as as a tournament organizer, as long as you're either happy to say, yeah, I'll move it to a later date, you can take your ticket with you, or you're able to kind of give a bit of a refund to certain people, because not everybody's going to drop out. It's only going to be probably a smallish percentage that are going to drop out. And as long as there's some sort of I guess you've got a plan in place for something like this to happen. If you have to kind of postpone it again and people can't make it to the new date, as long as you've got a plan, I think people will be fine about it.
Yeah, I think so. We don't really mind. We're all nice, understanding people generally, we hope.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know one guy who's meant to be coming to the tournament the October tournament. Yeah, sorry. And then he was going to come to the February one as well. Chris Cousins, his name is, and he said, "I'm sorry, I can't come anymore because I'm going back to Australia. I was only going to stay here for a year or whatever." And so it's like, I'll let you off that one.
Yeah, he can have his money back then. Yeah,
yeah. That's absolutely it. But yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to next year. I know lots of people are clearly keen to get back into the tournaments, into gaming generally. And I know one thing I'm looking forward to is seeing the rest of the Battle Streams in Middle Earth's Fantasy Fellowship campaign that's going to be going for years and years. So that's at least going to be a constant. That's really cool. So it's just lots of things like that we can definitely look forward to.
I've loved the first couple of episodes of that. It's just it's not just a battle report. There's so much more to it, and there's so much more kind of I guess story and narrative behind it than you do normally see in battle reports. And it's proper, like, wholesome. It's lovely. It's really good.
Yeah, it's amazing that we haven't, considering it's considering it's based on film and a book. It's amazing we haven't really seen many narrative battle reports that aren't narrative scenarios, and even these narrative scenarios, it's stupid that it hasn't happened before. So good on Damien for coming up with it, and for Macklin for playing along as well. It's been really good, and for all of the people involved as well. I know they do such a tremendous job. They really do. Anyway, let's move on, because I know I'm looking forward to, just for events wise, before we finish off the tab about events. In January or February, I think it was planned, the Into the West in Cardiff. I think it's unlikely to go ahead, but the enthusiasm for it, as soon as Matt King put the tickets up, it sold out within like 24 hours. So it just shows people are keen to get back in whenever they can. So
I think it's a really sort of good state for the hobby to be in. And I know even before kind of the world being the way it is, it was very much like that for a lot of tournaments. People were putting the tickets up and they were just going, being snapped up in no time. There's real competition for them. It's in a way, it's great. If you did want to go to the tournaments, then maybe not so great. But and if you missed out on tickets, but I think it's showing that there is massive growth and there's a lot of people that want to play out. It's fantastic.
Massive growth indeed. It's good. It is good that, I mean, the one thing that I think we struggle with is the demand is outstripping the capacity for most events. I mean, and people are pretty quick on the button in terms of getting to these events. So something like a 30-person event is getting sold out, and sometimes you get this sort of the group of highly competitive players get straight onto it as well, and all that sort of stuff. So lots of newbies probably missing out, but it's good that there's enough to understand.
I think it's people that are a little bit kind of not necessarily, looking at the GBHL Facebook page every day, and that they're not kind of as clued up. Whereas I think people who've been there for a long time, they see that event coming up, and they're like, right, I need to set a reminder in my calendar to get a ticket booked for that. Whereas new people might be a little bit kind of naive to it, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I suppose people, it's also, if you're a bit new and or a bit nervous or whatever, you're probably more reluctant to go in when there's only one person on the guest list. You might I don't want to end up going to some rubbish tournament, and then by the time everyone's bought the tickets, you're like, oh crumbs, okay, it's too late. Or even if you go, oh, I might get a mate to come along, and then you ask your friend, and they take ages to get back, and then they check with their other half and all that sort of stuff, and then by then it's a bit too late. But that does happen. But either way, I can't wait. I can't wait finally for my event to happen. That's been put off by about 6 months. I can't wait to go to. There's going to be so many. They talked about the Roaring 20s. I think it'll be the Roaring 20s for SBG, definitely. And I know some people, including Dan Collis, who's just commenting, probably have joined the hobby in the early months of this year and have never actually been to a tournament or a big gaming event anyway.
Considering there are some sort of quite, I guess, big names in the community now as well that are actually only sort of fairly, relatively new. I guess again, your time has kind of dilated somewhat, and you forget how kind of short a time it's actually been. But they feel like sort of stalwarts in the community now.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, Dan, looking forward to getting some events. Hope I can snag a few tickets. I've asked to be put on the reserve for some. The rightfully deferred players will have first dibs. Fingers crossed. Yeah, indeed. Nick says never been to an event before. There you go. Michael says suspect demand for tournaments will be high when we're allowed. Games Workshop, Throne of Skulls, and GT especially. Yeah, I think Throne of Skulls next year is going to be a big one. I think that's going to be really popular for people, because I mean, if that doesn't happen next year, something's really going wrong, isn't there? I mean, if we've got vaccines by then, surely we'll be allowed out. And but either way, 100 people in a hall playing Hobby will be amazing. Will be absolutely amazing. Max also says, was due to my first 2 tournaments this summer. Can't wait to get back to gaming. Well, yeah, I totally agree. And demand outstripping supply is a great incentive for some people running small events. Yes, I think if you run even a 15 or 16 person event at the moment, you'll probably sell it out straight away, and you'll guarantee a decent field. So that is always good. Okay, so we talked a bit about minis and talked a bit about stuff. I'm intrigued. Have you been playing along for the hobby bingo this year? Because I know some people have, some people haven't. I didn't ask you.
I started at the beginning of the year, but again, my focus sort of shifted so much from about kind of April, May time. my focus just completely shifted from what I had planned out for the year to completely new stuff. So in all honesty, I've really taken my eye off the ball with Hobby Bingo this year.
Well, and what would you say are your hobbying achievements of the year? Obviously, building a shed or building a hobby shed.
Building a shed. I think it's not necessarily hobby. It is hobby related, but not necessarily hobby related in the same sense. But learning to use my equipment and like my cameras and lighting and things like that, because I'm not using anything that's particularly outlandish now, but I think that the result that I'm getting is so much better than what I used to be able to do. So you know, it's not necessarily hobby related, but it kind of is my hobby, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I get that. That's in the fact the same as me. You know, I've tried to expand and change the way I deliver content. It used to be just audio mostly. Way before that, I used to do the YouTube channel and do the painting and stuff. But I think they've all improved lots. And photography is something I've been working on a lot. And you saw my Keep of the Dungeon, which I'm really happy with that photo. But even like I've done a Ganbury Gan, which I really like, and I'll be doing a video on him as well. Yeah. And then I've got a Faramir, Captain of Aphelion, all these sorts of things. I think last Christmas I asked for a light box for my brother and all that sort of stuff. So that's one thing I'm proud of. But I must say, one of my crowning achievements of this year has got to be building Kirith, which is sat next to me on this table. But that was like my lockdown project, which I thought would be, I thought, like, okay, I'm going to take a month. It's going to take me a month to build this thing. And then that's going to be it. And then a lockdown will be done and we'll all be back to normal. It'll be fine. And I can say, look what I did in lockdown, this. And then lockdown kept going and going and going. And I've realised that. But I'm really proud of that.
You could have built like a life-sized one out of foam. You know
what? I could have built Barad-dûr, Orthanc, and Cirith Ungol, and all the towers of Middle Earth. But I'm pretty happy with that. I mean, it's
I remember sort of seeing. I think you put some sort of sneak peeks of it up and before the video went up, and it looked like a great project.
It was great fun. It was great fun, and a little Mordor Rakai on the bow. But actually, I say that one of my favourite achievements of this year was doing this. This is my other half, Louise, and I managed during lockdown when she was working at school, but she was only doing a few days a week, and she was really bored. And I said, "Look, why don't you join me and paint?" And she doesn't let me take photos for this sort of stuff, so I thought I'd put it on the internet. She said she was really getting into painting, and this was the result of her endeavours. Nice. Painted pink and light shaded blue elf. So she did a good job, actually. It's quite neat.
Very neat, yeah. I think that's the biggest challenge for a lot of people, is just staying in the lines.
I mean, you can see how much attention she's paying to it. But yeah, look, this is really good. And I've said at one point I'll show her how to shade and do the washes and all that. And she did say she'd do it, but 3 months later, it's not happened. But anyway,
she's not that bored anymore.
No, exactly. I think she's muddled her way through. But in terms of Hobby Bingo, well, let's have a look at it. Let's have a look at the sheet. I don't know whether you can see that. Is that a bit too small?
You might have to read.
Well, we'll read through. But if anyone comment below, have you done Hobby Bingo 2020? How well have you done? I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 5. So there's 25 squares in there. How many out of the 25 squares have you done? I'll leave them on the screen so you can have a look at them. And hey, John Percival, thank you very much. Dale says, Cirith Ungol looks unreal, Harry. I hope you're going to have attacking and defending it as a unique scenario at your tournament. Yes. The plan was to just have it there on the Friday night so anyone can have a play, and lunchtime as well. So yes, you can. If you come along to the tournament in whenever it happens eventually, yes, you can do that. Anyway, sorry. So, Ben, did you watch the Hobbit trilogy this year?
Of course I did.
Yes, there you go. Well, I mean,
several times.
I think they're always on there. They're always on there, aren't they? I've always watched them at least once a year. All right, play a doubles game. That's a tricky one this year.
No, I don't think I have played a doubles game.
Fair enough. Right. Okay.
How about have you? Have you?
Yes, I did, because I played the Master and Commander thing. I forgot.
Of course, yes.
I thought I hadn't, because there have been so few tournaments. And I said, I haven't been to a doubles tournament, but that one I did. So I played a few doubles games with Ed Bull, so that was ace. Made a display board for one of your armies. Have you made any display boards?
Not this year.
That's annoying.
Not this year. How about? Oh, you obviously made Cirith Ungol.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not really a display board for my army, but I have. It is kind of, isn't it?
I'd say that's it's a very elaborate display board.
It is. I mean, I think if I go, I did almost take it to the to a tournament in September. Have we dropped? Oh, we dropped out there briefly.
You're back now.
Oh yeah, sorry. Apologies for that. I did say that I was having some internet issues, so apologies if you got a lag there. But hopefully we'll just plow through. Let me know if for any other issues. But so yeah, I did take it in the car, but I couldn't get it out the car because I was so late to the tournament. I didn't actually take it out, and there was nowhere to put it in the place anyway because we had to social distance everything anyway. So I haven't really displayed it, but I think it counts. So
definitely. I'll vouch for you on that one.
I love the comments coming in. I love how Ben just sat there. Harry was frozen. Hopefully,
I didn't know what to do. Like,
yeah, it's like, fair enough. Okay, play a game against an opponent you've never faced before.
Surely I will have. I think it might have been this year. I played against Reese Taylor, who's a local player. I've not played against him before, but I got a game against him. I must have played quite a few games against new people because at the beginning of the year I was playing quite a few. Quite regularly, sort of locally. So you were doing
the slow grow at the start of the year, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. So we got a few games in there.
I think I just because I managed to squeeze a couple of tournaments in early on, I definitely played some new people. So I was quite happy to do that. Paint a monster or a siege engine. Did you do that this year? Monster. I'm trying to think now. I don't think I have. Did I paint? When did I paint? No. Unless, I did, because Jasmine Tetley wanted to take 2 assault ballistas to the GT, and she only had 1, and I lent her 1 because I had it, but I had to paint it for her because I was only able to give it to her in the weeks before, a week or something before. So yes, I painted a siege engine, and Jasmine took it to victory at the GT. So.
Excellent. I don't think I was just sort of trying to think about and have a look at my shelves. I don't think I've painted a monster or a siege engine.
I suppose if your hobby has been building a shed and all that sort of stuff, then yeah. And actually, just doing videos is a hobby enough, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It takes a huge amount of time. I was working it out on some of my videos. It's taken per minute of video. It's taken me at least an hour of editing, which is just like crazy when they're sort of only like 12 minutes long, and and people give you a like at the end. You're like, it only took me 12 hours to edit that.
Well, I mean, recently I spent 24 hours on a video. It was
yeah.
insane.
Well, yeah.
Now, paint a model for an army you don't currently play. Surely you'd have done that one.
Yes, yeah. Well,
Rohan
from the beginning of the year, that was a brand new army for me. I had the odd little bit here and there, but I'd not sort of played them at all. So yeah, I've painted quite a lot of Rohan. Also, Dunland I painted this year as well. That was an army that I've never painted before or played before. So yeah, there's probably quite a few bits there that I've kind of ticked that box on, I reckon. How about you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Keeper of the Dungeons was an army that I didn't currently play at the time. I suppose it fits in Dol Guldur, doesn't it? So maybe that. Yeah. I have played the Nazgul, but also the I don't know what you'd call the Bree personalities. Are they an army? I don't know. But I mean, I started new armies, so technically I started Easterlings. So I've painted loads of Easterlings, and I've never played them before this year, so I guess that counts. I'll claim it. I'll claim it anyway.
Yeah,
because it's you're only really cheating yourself, and I think I probably have. Have you watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy?
Of course.
Yeah,
several times over.
Yeah.
It's just on repeat in our house.
Yeah, well, you might as well put it on loop if you can. Have you entered a Middle Earth gaming event?
I don't think I have this year.
Oh wow, that is rare though to come to the end. I suppose because of this year, but
because of this year, and as I say at the beginning of the year, I was sort of saving money towards the wedding and things, and yeah, then it just never kind of happened. So yeah,
it's tricky. But I've entered a few, so I'll take that one off. Yeah. But have you bought a model and painted it within 48 hours of receiving?
Yes, I have.
Did you? That's usually the one that everyone struggles with.
And that was, where is he now? He's up there somewhere. Helm Hammerhand.
Very nice. Oh yeah, I'll have to have a look at this. Get him right up.
I don't know if I can.
Hold on, let me just push him there. Look, there you go.
I don't know if you'll be able to.
It's just about focused in. Very nice. It's a lovely model, though, isn't it?
It paints itself pretty much. It was such a nice model to paint. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, he arrived, and I was just like, I had the weekends myself. I was like, oh, just gonna get around to painting him.
That's exactly what I did. I've done a couple of these late night drunken painting sessions over the last 6 months. Keeper of the Dungeons was the first one. I got it on the. I can't remember when I got it. Anyway, I built it within an hour or so. I did it badly. I got super glue all over the back, and I put I had to scrape it all clean, but I put the wrong knife. I put the big knife on the side, which is meant to be strapped to his back, and there's meant to be like a little knife on his that goes onto his belt. So I just got rid of the little knife because I put the big one on. I thought, because I was a bit drunk, I was like, I'll put the big one on his belt.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
And then
you pulled it out. To be honest, I don't think anybody had noticed. If you hadn't said anything, nobody would have ever noticed.
No, I didn't think so. But I think it gives a subtle change to what other people have done. So that's always good. Yeah. And I painted it that night because I glued it all together. And then I thought, honestly, I thought I'd paint it tomorrow. I was like, I'll do it tomorrow, glue it, let it dry. And I spray painted it. So I went outside, spray painted it, and I thought, put it down, and then sort of got myself sorted and then dry. And then I was like, I'll get my camera set up because I know I want to paint. I don't want to put this on the stream because it's on the video. So I got all that set up and I thought, I might as well do the base coat. Because I've got it all sorted now, and and then I was like, I'll do a wash, and then I just ended up doing the whole thing. And it's twice I've done it because I did it with Barlin recently, that I put up over Christmas. I put up a little video of Barlin, and I originally intended to do it just briefly and put it up over the Christmas period, and then I ended up doing it all in one night until about 3 a.m. stupidly, and God knows why. But anyway, that's just what. When I have a couple of whiskies, I find this. When I'm drinking whiskey, I seem to have a real desire.
Because of productivity.
Yeah,
I'll just get it all done.
Get it all done. And I watched. I caught up with Zorp's videos. I watched. I think what was the latest? I think I watched one of Damien's hobby blogs, which I had never watched, or something like that. So lots of stuff late at night, which is great. Right, okay, let's get back to this. Have you read any books? Oh, this is always tricky. Have you read any of the Hobbit or Lord of the Rings books this year?
I've not read them, but I've listened through to all of them on audiobook. Which I think the consensus was that counts.
I think that counts. Yeah, I think that counts. It's hearing or reading the words of Tolkien. That's fine. And I don't think I can say I've done that. I've read bits of The Return of the King in particular, and I listened to them all last year as well, and read through them last year. So I'll give myself a tick from last year. But this year I have read some extra Tolkien. I read the Smith of Wootton Major and some other short stories by Tolkien. So I didn't get the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit, but I mean,
you've read some of Tolkien's works, and that's some sort of quite obscure Tolkien work.
I think I'm almost tempted to give myself a tick, but strictly,
I would. Rules as written. Maybe not, but
the spirit of the rules. Spirit of the rules is that you're reading and assuming extra knowledge. So that's what I did. All right. What about this? Have you entered a model into a painting competition?
No, I wouldn't have done that this year.
No. I don't think I've deliberately done it, but every time you go to a tournament, you leave your army out. So I think I technically entered them in, but I didn't.
Yeah. That's about the only sort of painting tournaments or painting competitions I think I would probably enter. So yeah, I won't have done it this year.
I did hear, and you know what? I've forgotten to enter it now. Steve said he was doing a Christmas festive Christmas
bauble.
Yeah, I didn't do it in a bauble, but I did paint my Barlin in anticipation of that, and then completely forgot to send it to him or whatever I had to do. But anyway, there you go. Oh yeah, and Joe Holzman says, "Did you catch Andy Serkis reading The Hobbit at Easter? That got it ticked off for me." That is a good shout. I didn't watch it. I was working, and so I couldn't because he read it through in like a day or something, didn't he? But I intended on catching it up, and then I said, I'll wait for the audiobook to come out. And then when the audiobook came out, I didn't get it. So
I was about to ask you if you got the audiobook.
I should get the audiobook.
I've got the old Rob English version and the Andy Serkis version now. So the Andy Serkis one is.
That's the reason I didn't get it, because I've already got and listened to the Hobbit audiobook. So I thought, I got and not listened to the Hobbit audiobook. So I thought, well, I haven't listened to the original one, so maybe I shouldn't buy it, but I probably will at some point. I like to hear Andy Serkis's version because it looks amazing. So that's cool. Someone makes a good point, Joe. No, not that one. Aren't Damien and Steve streams painting competitions? Yes, they are. I think they absolutely are. Oh,
yeah. So I have then.
Yeah, if you've been painting along with the streams, then you absolutely have.
Yeah.
What about next one?
I unfortunately, I don't get to catch them live as often as I'd like, but there was one I caught live. I think it was the Legolas week, and I definitely entered that one. There's been a couple I painted along with, but not necessarily what they painted along. But that was one week that I did.
I think that's been one of the other highlights of 2020 for me. It's a bit of a Damien and Steve loving at the moment, and there'll be more Damien loving later because we've got SBG review coming up. But we'll talk about that as well later. But clearing the backlog has been a really significant part of the year for me. These are 3 models I definitely wouldn't have got painted if it wasn't for the stream. I think I actually touched up the elf on the left. You don't want to say that in a nightclub. Certainly don't want to say it at Santa's Grotto at this time of the year. Anyway, I painted these guys, which I definitely wouldn't have done if it wasn't for those. So it's been great clearing the backlog, as Damien has been very keen to mention a lot. But so that's cool. Did you take part in a narrative campaign?
No, I wouldn't have this year.
See, I started the Quest of the Ring Bearer one, so I'm not going to be able to finish it. But yeah, I think that counts. So
yeah, that definitely counts.
All of the finished models you army are based, pretty much. Yeah. Finished models. Yeah,
I tend to. Well, they're not finished unless they're based. So,
yeah, that's the thing.
You know. But yeah, I kind of make a point now of even if I'm just working in batches rather than kind of doing the whole, painting the whole lot and then basing them. I as I go, maybe doing sort of 5 or 10, I will base them as I'm going along because I hate that get to that end. You're like, oh, I've got to base all these models now. So yeah, I do it as I go along now.
Now the next one is finish a good army of at least 600 points.
Rohan.
Yeah, you know what? I thought that I hadn't done this, but I've just remembered because of this little guy and the accompaniment. I have now got 600 points of Rohan. I was going to do it for my slow grow that was cut short by the November lockdown. But I've got 600 points of good, so yeah,
nice.
I can take that off.
And that's a cool legendary legion there as well.
Yeah, I haven't actually got to enjoy. I haven't been able to play that 600 points because we did the first 4 games, so 200, 200, 400, 400, and I've got the 600 point games to play, and then lockdown, and we haven't been able to open since because we're in tier 3 and 4. So it's really sad, but sometime we'll finish that. But there we go. So it was good. I'm quite happy to do that. So actually, I think I've got them all so far.
Yeah, you do. Well,
I'm surprised. Start a new army. I definitely start a new army. I started Easterlings.
Yeah.
Did you Rohan? Oh, would you do
Rohan? I did Rohan, but I also did Uruk-hai Scouts at the beginning of it. They were kind of January army. I absolutely flew through them.
I think I remember seeing your pictures of them, and they inspired me to paint my own Uruk-hai Scouts, which I really enjoyed doing as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a painting guide for the captain as well.
Captain, when it came out, I love that model. Really nice.
It's awesome. I think it's because it's one of those, especially if you've been around a while, you've seen pictures of it for years and years and years. And also when it came out, you're like, oh my god, it's such a rare model, but it obviously isn't now.
It's absolutely but it's great. It's really nice. And I realised my army of Uruk-hai needs bolstering a lot because it's got loads of heroes and like 30 models or something, and it needs way more. But it's a really nice army. I love the look of it. So I haven't actually used it on the tabletop yet. So hopefully I will. So start a new army, paint a new version of a model you already own. I always do that. I always paint. I've got loads of Aragorns and Gimlis and Fellowship. Tucked away that I still haven't put paints on. So I think I don't know which one I did this year, but I definitely did one of them. What have I done? I'll have a look. Oh, I know. I did. I did these 2 this year. So I did a Gimli, which I did in a slightly different. I was going to do enter a what do you call them? Battle Companies League, and then we couldn't do it in the end. So, but that's my little Gimli, which I love. I put him on a little snowy base, which I really like.
He's cool.
He's really nice. And I did another Gimli during the live stream not so long ago. Damien's live.
Nice.
It's not focusing in. There we go. Which I did a little bit differently, but I really like him. That's an Uruk-hai one. I really liked him.
I did.
Oh yeah. He's a classic Legolas. That's a
I did him, and I did. I think it was just after this one as well. I did the Helm's Deep Aragorn as well. I don't know what I've done with him. He's around somewhere. But yeah, I got him done as well. So yeah, those are at least 2 that I've done, but I must have done more than that.
Damien says, sorry to confirm that our painting streams are not painting competitions. Gutted. Sorry, guys. Wish there was something to do. You bugger. And he says, Andy here says his Hobbitathon was an absolute hobby highlight for me. Probably top 5 things to come out of this whole Rancid situation. Yeah, I think, to be fair, if it wasn't for COVID, then there would be no Andy Serkis Hobbit, which is great, isn't it? I mean, I haven't heard any of it. I think I dipped in a little bit during work or whatever, but I couldn't watch any of it. But the bits the few minutes I heard did sound really good, so I should really catch up with it. But I'd forgotten about it, completely honest. Yeah. All right, okay, let's just smash through the last ones. Did you finish an evil army of 600 points?
Yeah, Urukai.
There you go. Same.
Scouts, yeah.
I did a few, actually. And I've got Easterlings, which I've done. So, yeah, that'll count. Create cool scenic bases for one of your armies.
Oh, yeah. I cast my own bases.
Oh, yes, you did. Which you got the video for. Look at that. That's really lovely,
so
that.
Some of the painted ones. I'm trying out a few different schemes on them. So, yeah, I've not sort of settled on them yet. But, yeah, so I've definitely made scenic bases.
Now, I don't know what counts as scenic.
You did for Barleyman.
Does that count, though? Is that scenic enough? Like, I mean, that's just...
I'd say that's scenic.
Where are we?
It's better than just sand and painted brown.
That's what I usually do, to be fair. Yeah, it does look all right. I mean, it's just lollipop sticks or balsa wood. I can't remember which I used in the end. Just chopped up.
I'd say that's a scenic base.
Is it an army, though? It's close. I mean, it's. I'd be inclined to not give myself it on the because it's just so close, but. That's one of the things I don't do very much of is do scenic bases, because I did start doing some snow for Numenorians, but no. So we'll see. But anyway, I think no for that one. That's probably the first one I've not got. Build and paint a new model for one of your armies. Yeah, we've both got that one.
But yeah, easy.
Play a new game using an army you've never used before.
I've not used them before. I've not used Urukai Scouts before. So I used them at the beginning of the year.
I did my Cirith Ungol force. I'd never used my Uruk, Mordor Uruk. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll take that. Build and paint a scenery kit. Yes, I did. Did you do this?
Yes. Yeah, I did the Rohan house.
I was just going to say exactly that. I've got my little Rohan house here. That's pretty much done. I mean, it's very basic, but it's built and it's painted. So that'll be
proper cool kits then.
Yeah, it's really nice actually. I've got the rest of the Palisade kit, which I haven't started on yet, and I've got the Osgiliath Ruins as well, which I haven't started on yet. But all for coming to a tournament near you soon. What else we got? Now this is what I always struggle with: paint a model and incorporate a technique you haven't mastered. Because I mean, I'm not to say that I'm an expert by any stretch of the mark, but there aren't many techniques I haven't had a go at. So it's hard.
Yeah, well, it's not Middle Earth though, for me on that one. So I painted up a Space Marine to put on one of my new bases, and I used zenithal highlighting and I used inks to kind of apply the major colour, which is something I've not really done before. So, but because it's not Middle Earth, I don't know if that doesn't really count.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. It may be because it's Middle Earth Hobby Bingo, maybe not.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I've tried anything particularly different.
No, I don't think I have either. And I think I probably could have done it if I bought some contrast paints, but never got to it. Never got to it. Right, finally, finish a model that's been in your to-do pile for over a year. Got that.
Yeah,
definitely. Recreate your favourite scenes from a movie with a narrative scenario. I mean, I did that last year, so you can't actually do it again, because once you've done
once you've done your favourite,
you can't really do it.
Next year, they need to do it as do your second favourite.
Yeah, your third favourite. Yeah. Although having said that, one of my favourite scenes in The Return of the King is definitely the Cirith Ungol stuff, and I played a battle report with Louise. So yeah, I'll take that. Because it's a great scene, and I recreated it, so I'm happy with that. And start a battle company. As I mentioned, I did start one with this Gimli, but and an elf, which I've lost. somewhere up there. But yeah, I did. So there you
go. I did a Haradrim Battle Company.
Yeah, well, there you go. I'm pretty proud of that. So yeah, we spent a lot of time talking about Middle Earth Hobby Bingo, but it's interesting to see all this hobby. I think I've crossed it off. I think I've missed some that I haven't done that. So I didn't do that one. But yeah, look at all that. Look at all that crossed off.
Pretty good.
I haven't properly crossed off Good Army, but I did do a Good Army because of the. So 2 missing is pretty good. 23 out of 25.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. I did way better than I actually thought I did, considering. But yeah, that's good.
Someone says, Tokesmith's Awesome says, is this a fans only page? I think you're talking about OnlyFans, and no, it isn't. Although if you start sending donations, we can start
do whatever you want.
Oh, Max Malice says the same joke as well, OnlyFans. No, this is not a fans only page. I'm not quite sure what that means, but feel free to join in if you're a Middle Earth fan and comment below, all that sort of stuff. What else? Yeah, let's just see what a few people said that they did comment on this. Luke says, return to the hobby after 17 years out, encouraged by the online community. I optimistic booked my first event ticket, which was postponed. That counts towards the event square, right? Maybe. It's hard. If you've tried, then I feel for you.
Through no fault of his own, he couldn't attend. So,
exactly. I finished on 20 out of 25, missing doubles, event, painting competition, display board, and painting a model in 48 hours. Joe, you've got 48 hours until the end of 2020. You can do it. You can do a model. Oh wait, you probably can't go down to a GW anymore, can you? Because there's nowhere open.
Yeah.
Probably not. But give it a try. I'd love to see you do it. Michael Asker says, I managed to finish watching all the Lord of the Rings appendices and watch all the Hobbit ones too, which were very illuminating and interesting. Done more hobby than ever due to working from home and not being in the hotels. Yeah. Michael and I spoke about this before, that Michael saved a lot of time traveling backwards and forwards from various different places working from home.
Yeah, because he used to work up in Edinburgh and all sorts, didn't he?
All over the
yeah.
Absolutely. But interesting to say you've only just finished watching Lord of the Rings appendices and Hobbits. I've watched them dozens of times and I love them. I think nowadays I probably enjoy them more than the films, because maybe not really, but like, because I've watched the film so many times that watching the special features is like, oh yeah,
it's like a little treat.
Excellent. Dan says, get on the oils or enamels, Harry. Oil paints or enamel. I mean, I heard rumours that Tom Harrison of SBG magazine fame, who we'll return to in a minute, painted with only enamel paints for many years, which is like a disturbing thought, because those things are horrible. They stink and they're really thick and gluey and awful.
Like oils have become like the new in thing now. And so I think I'm a little bit like you. I'm almost like a bit afraid of them. You think, you need sort of special thinners to clean them and all sorts of stuff. But in other sort of, in other, I guess, communities and sort of some of the big painters, but people who want that kind of really grimy looking aesthetic, oil paints have become like the in thing. So yeah, maybe it's something to try for next year.
I think if I'd been looking at the Hobbit hobby bingo for the whole year and actually looking at it and going, I need to tick that off, then maybe I'd have looked into different painting techniques I could try. But I'm so comfortable in my painting style techniques that I just know how to do it. I've got all the paints. I mean, I've still got all my old GW paints from years ago that still work. So yeah, I probably won't.
I think I'm much the same as you, and it depends what you want out of the army. Like I'm not going to be a golden demon winner, so I'm quite happy with the standard that I paint to now, really. So it's unlikely I'm going to try anything particularly different. In all honesty,
I feel I'm getting better. I'm getting more control. And the latest video, the Barlin video that I've just put up on the channel, which feel free to check out if you haven't already seen it. I'm really, really happy with the freehand, because I used a guide out of the SBG magazine. This is probably the 4th time we've mentioned it, with a review of the topic later. But it suggests doing black lines over for the sleeves, like the quilting on the sleeves. And I thought, I'm going to cop this up, especially because I've been drinking. And I thought, well, and it looks great, and it was fine. And I was like, I'm amazed at how well I've done this. So I'm really proud of that model, actually, despite slightly melting it, which I go into in the video. But generally, when you're drinking late at night and trying to dry washes, and the girlfriend's candle is sitting there, don't combine those three.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I need to. I've not had a chance to watch this video yet, so yeah, it's going to be.
It's only a few minutes, but it's one of those ones that I look at it, and you can, if you look closely enough, it's not obvious, but basically the sword shrinks a little bit. It's like going out into the cold with your swimming trunks on. You're like, it's like, but it's very amusing. Yes, Nick says the one where you melted the sword. Yes. All right, let's have a look at some of these things. Totes McCawthon says he's about 3 gins to the wind. Good on you, lad. Good on you. Get a few more down you. It's Christmas after all. Peter North here from America. Old adult film star. Always awesome content, guys. Thanks, Peter. Not quite sure what that means. Very good. Hi, Peter. I'm on 24 out of 25 at the moment, desperately trying to finish 25 as we speak. Yes, I hear, Damien, that you've got a display board being built, which is ace. So good luck with that. I know. Let me put some pictures in the. I haven't actually looked at the chat yet, but if you can find the thread on the old GBHL Facebook page, drop a couple of pics in there, and I'll have a look for them in a few minutes' time. Nathan says it's worth watching the appendices just to see Vigo headbutt everyone he meets. Yeah, that's true. Totes McAwesome says, I just watched the extended Fellowship of the Ring, and seeing the added scenes was fantastic, although Celeborn still didn't have a horse. Yes, he needs that horse. Nick Brewer, the one that we sword. Enamels have moved on loads since those days. You can buy enamel weathering brushes that would come in handy for dirty armies like Mordor. Same for oils. Really good way to pin, wash, clean armor. You know what, Dan? Your comments have maybe convinced me. I should give it a go. I really should try something new. Finally, Nathan, when I worked for GW, a set of customers modelled to dry under the heater. Sadly, it was fine cast. I bet they weren't happy about that. I hope you got them a new one. Right. Okay. So we've got SBG Magazine issue 10 review coming up, but in the meantime, this is something that I'd like you to play with along with me, Ben. I don't know whether you saw much of the 24-hour live stream, but
I was dipping in and out of it.
I'm not surprised. It would be stupid of you to have watched 24 hours, although someone did. Tom Wag, if you've ever met him, he literally watched the 24 hours, and he said, "Oh, I just got watching it, and then I was playing games on, I think he was playing online or something like that." And he said, "I actually just sat up," and he said, "You kept producing interesting people." So I was like, "Yes, but more." He was literally there the whole time. So good on Tom. If you're out there watching, well done.
Fair play to him.
Yeah. But anyway, during it, we played a game which I haven't really come up with a decent name for yet. But it's like this. It's the Ent-erlude for the Entmoot, you see. Basically, I'm going to play a clip in a few minutes' time. I'm going to play in a second. I'm going to play a clip, and essentially, everyone, get ready for this. I want you to watch a clip from the Lord of the Rings films, and I'm going to have some questions for you to answer after the clip. So I'll play a clip, pretty straightforward, minute-long clip from Lord of the Rings. You need to carefully watch it, and I will ask you some unusual and obscure questions after we've watched the clip. So, Ben, is that okay? Are you?
Yeah, fine. I'm more than happy to play along.
Excellent. Hamdizzle's just joined in. Hello, chaps. And he says they have 7 sips of Ent draft in relation to this is because I had some Ent draft clips. Krypton Factor is back. Yes, it is. It's back. So everyone get ready. Put your paintbrushes down for just a minute because we're going to talk about SBG Magazine in a minute. But put your paintbrushes down. Get your eyes ready. Scrub them up. All that sort of stuff. Yes, Justice for Nori. I incorrectly identified a dwarf in a previous clip. I could just call it Krypton Factor, but I think there might be some copyright issues with that. All right.
Why do you call it Clipton Factor?
Ooh, nice. Clipton Factor. I kind of want to get some Lord of the Rings references.
Yeah.
You could start Clipton. Comment ideas for names of the segment in this thingy below. Right. Okay. Let me get the video. Here we go. So it's about a minute long. Enjoy, but watch very carefully, Ben, and everyone watching. And there we go. Cut it short there. Excellent. Oh, look, it's lighting up. The 9 comments or so people are already guessing what I'm going to be asking the questions from. So let's just see what people think I'm going to ask. Can't you crowbar riddles in the dark into the name? Oh, yeah. Riddles, clips in the dark. I don't know. How many uruks in the scene? No, it's not that. 69 blades of grass. No, it's not that many blades of grass. Tens of thousands. No, minus if you're so good. The answer is Helm's Deep. It is not. fat dwarf, no. 69 blades of grass on the left, 73 on the right, 46 bricks in the air, like it. LMAO RKO, I'm not quite sure what RKO is. Do you know that reference? I'm not very good at acronyms. You must, Hamdizzle, you must be younger than me. Is it Porkies? No. 64 shields? No. 9 Ents? No. 17 planks of wood. 1 WWE wrestler was present. He says he kills him like 4 times. No. 2 arrows. Okay. None of those seem to be pointing to the right thing.
God damn it.
So the question is, well, I've got a few actually. I've got a few questions. What have we done with them? Here we go. How many camera angles of the explosion do you see? How many camera angles of the explosion do you see? Now, before you guess, Ben, it's about a 20-30 second delay for people to have a go at home. So just have a think of that while people bash out something in the thing. How many camera angles of the explosion do you see? So think about, so we've obviously got fella getting shot at, arrows hitting him. Yes, 2 arrows. Aragorn says shoot him down 3 times or something. But how many angles, camera angles, do we see? So this is a real movie buffs kind of question. We've got quite a lot of answers already coming in. Some people are saying he kills him like 4 times. Right shoulder, left shoulder, it's not. How many hands does the berserker have? No. Okay, here we go. Right, we got the first angles guess. What would you have gone with, Ben, before? I know you.
I would have probably gone with, it's either 3 or 4, but I think they skip, they use the same angle, but then kind of come back to it after a couple of different angles, I think.
Oh, interesting. Now, a lot of, see, that's not right. But how many, so which one did you go with? Which 3?
I'm going to go with 4.
4, right. I'm afraid that is not the answer I have on the sheet. And this is going to be something that will piss everyone off because I'm being a bit specific. Okay, so let's see what everyone's got. 4 says, well, Damien, I'm sorry, but that's not the answer I've got on the sheet, which means you'll be like hammering away saying it's rigged. Hamdizzle says 3. It's not 3. It's not 4. It's not 2. It's not 3. It's not 4 candles or angles. Very good. That's an old school reference to Luke there. Thanks, Luke, for dropping that in. That's Johnny to Ronnie's reference, isn't it? Frederick Schultz says 3.5. I'm intrigued at what you mean by 3.5, but it's not that. 4. L Davy. Is that Luke Davy? Hello, Luke, if you're watching. Hamdizzle. It'll be like 10. 1, says Nick Brewer. I remember when you had Biffert on the sheet. Yeah, it was wrong that time. Is this another? All right, okay. I've written it down. The answer is 5. 5. So first is the angle you see when the berserker is running into the tunnel, and then he jumps after being hit, but for some reason he jumps, and then it explodes. That's the first angle because you see the explosion lighting up the tunnel, which is the one I'm guessing not many people.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah,
that is definitely an angle. And then there's a front-on angle. So you see it as you're looking at it, and it goes, and then one at the back, and then there's one at the main wide shot, and there's one of the whole valley. So there's actually a 5, and we can watch it again, but I mean, you know, it depends whether you think the first one that I think is an angle, which is where he hits it and then it explodes. He's light coming out the tunnel.
It's your quiz, so I'm going to go with whatever you think.
You see, the thing is, the previous time I had the excuse that it was all for charity, so it didn't matter. Whereas this time, people just get mad.
People get angry.
So,
subscribe.
Yeah, he said. Nick says you said explosion, not build up. Show us the sheet. He trips. It's a fix. There you go. That's what I was calling. I mean, I'll happily watch it again. We'll watch it again after I've done the other questions. So now this is exciting because we've already been thinking about the explosion. You see, so that hopefully will have erased this from your memory. How many uruks wide is the tortoise formation heading up the gangway? So or whatever you call it, it's like the testudo, tortudo, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
What is that? How many uruks wide is that formation? So everyone have a think at home. This is great. Solid reasoning from Parker. I missed jumpy angle, but I'm on board. Nice pedantry. I like it. Excellent. Thanks, Damien. I win. All right. This is not SBG related lies. I love it. All right. Okay. So I think everyone else now is on. If Nathan is, Nathan must be the first one. How many wides do you think the tortoise formation is?
It was 5.
Do you think it's 5? Do you?
Yeah,
you do. You sound very confident.
I'm pretty confident on that because I did count them.
Oh, did you? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm pretty confident in it, and unless, but you're trying to take so much in. But I'm 95% sure it's 5.
That's interesting. That is interesting. Okay. Nick Brewer says it's 1,000. I think you're thinking of a different angle. I'm thinking, taking up how many wide does it take up on the thing? But I know you're taking the piss, so it's fine. Right. Okay. Let's go from the top. Nathan says 5. Aaron, welcome in, Aaron. I know you haven't commented so far yet, so thanks for joining in. 4, he says. 5, we've got 4, 1,000, no. 6, no. 6, no. 8. 8. We've got a lot of variety though. This is good. I like this. Battle Streams, Damien says it's 4. Maverick says it's 42. It's the answer to life, universe, and everything. Nice try. Frederick says 5. 5 for Nathan as well. He says, but as real fans know, it wasn't Urux on the ramp. Now that is true. Was it the Dunlendings who went up the gangway in the book? I can't remember. Right, it's been so long since I read it. Someone else will tell me. 5 SHD. I don't know what SHD means, but the middle is for the ram, so 4 makes sense to me. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Top Table Gaming says 6. Stephen Cindy Jones, welcome to the stream, says 5. I don't know, man. I prefer riddles in the dark. Back riddles. I can't do it as well. I mean, it's the whole point of the riddles in the dark is it's in the dark. It's audio. That's where it came from. And also it's a riddle. Luke says going for 5, not swung by Benjamin's guess, honest. Dan 5, Ian Whitehouse 5, Carl Daly 4. The answer, you'll be happy to know, Ben, is 5. And this one is
down to myself then.
I know. There are a lot of good guesses there that were all over the place, which is nice. But yeah, it was 5. We'll watch the clip again in a minute just to clarify this. Okay, and in the explosion, we see this is the final question. I've got another question. Sorry. In the explosion, we see some bodies flying through the air. Were you counting those bodies, Ben?
I wasn't counting the bodies, no.
Good, because you're not meant to. One of those bodies flies directly towards the camera. Was it an Uruk-hai or an elf? Was it an Uruk-hai or an elf? Can you think back? Everyone have a think. Everyone have a think. Just turn the lights out, Harry says. Handizzle for that. Yeah, that would make it riddles in the dark, wouldn't it? Very good. All right, so I like this. As Mr. SA13 says, is the every answer going to be 5? I did almost consider this, but no. I like it. Right. So we're starting to get some answers coming in. What do you think? Is it an elf or an Uruk-hai?
I'm gonna. If it's the angle that I'm thinking of, I think the physics says it would have to be an Uruk-hai from where the explosion comes from.
Oh, that is good scientific knowledge. I'm assuming that the filmmakers thought of the scientific knowledge, but you're right. You're 100% right. It is an Uruk-hai. Now, obviously, there are a couple of bodies flying around, but let's see. Dale says elf, Uruk, elf blown off the shelf. Very good. Luke says elf, high elf. Elf. God, everyone thinks it's an elf. I remember the quote flashback to the Helm Deep. Elves fly higher. Uruk. Bravo, Ian. Love it. I'm not quite sure what Ian's. High elf. Yeah, get it. Very clever. High elf. Yeah. Uruk. You can see the shield, Max. Yes. Good man. You got it. Yeah. It must be an elf because top of the wall. Yeah, I think he must be flying off the ladder. Or something like that. Lighter and daintier. That surprises me, lol. Shame it wasn't Legolas pre-shield move. Yeah, I agree. Shame it wasn't. Yeah, because that would have got rid of that whole shield move anyway. Yes, the shield was a thing I remember. Okay, there you go. So the answers were as follows. I'll just read the questions out to remember. How many explosions of the angles do you see? 5. How many Uruks wide is a tortoise formation? 5. And it's an Uruk flying through the air. Let's watch it all back to check that I And I'll stop it there because we've already done it. Did you see the guy flying through the air, by the way?
I missed him on that one.
I forgot to look for him.
I was too busy looking at all the angles.
I hope everyone. Last one was post-explosion. Well, maybe, says Max Malus, maybe. But I'll go with 5 anyway because that's that. Yeah, the shield was the thing I remember. So people, there you go. Well, there you go. That was what nobody's come up with a good name for it. So what did you call it?
Clip-done factor.
Clipton factor. Yeah, let's do that. All right. Well done. Okay. So the final thing we're going to talk about this evening, which is the stream's gone on a bit longer than I expected, actually. We're just because we probably did the hobby bingo in the middle. Was this SBG 10? Now, I've got you on because you're a hobby legend, but also because you were involved in the making of SBG issue 10. And Damien and Tom have been very kind. They've let me have an early look at the magazine on the proviso that I give my honest opinions on the internet in the form of a review. And obviously, because they're watching, I can't be anything but negative. But no, of course not. I am actually a massive fan of the SBG magazine. I already got it out. I've got every single issue, including the very rare Durdle-based issue.
Yeah,
which I think there's fewer copies of. I remember watching you and Steve doing the battle report. Was it that one, or you also did the Christmas one as well?
Tariel versus the Spiders.
Yeah, and you did the Christmas one as well because you did. Was it the Barlin delivering gifts and stuff like that as well?
It was, yeah.
So there you go. So first of all, have you been involved? Have you done any of the other magazines, or have you been involved before?
No, not been involved before. This is the first time helping out and being involved. And it felt like a bit of a privilege to be asked to come and help out with it as well. So yeah, it was fantastic just to be asked to be involved in the first place. But yeah, the process of kind of being involved was awesome as well.
I mean, it's fascinating because I used to love White Dwarf growing up. I've got all of the old issues, not all of them, but I've got loads and loads of old issues tucked away. I've ripped out the non-Lord of the Rings stuff because it's so out of date now, and maybe I'll regret that in the years. But I needed to save space somehow, and I didn't want to throw it away. So they're all in ring binders, and it's just lovely going back through some of those old issues and all that sort of stuff. And sadly, White Dwarf is no longer White Dwarf the way I remember it. It's got loads of good stuff in it that if you like all of the systems, and it's got new rules for Necromunda, it's got new whatever, new team sheets for Blood Bowl. But I'm not a GW fanboy. I just like Lord of the Rings SBG these days. And I think it's kind of lost its way in terms of the coverage of like battle reports. It's not got. I
think it's one of those that because I went through a phase of buying, when White Dwarf started covering Middle Earth again, I was buying every single issue, and then it kind of got to a point where the amount of Middle Earth in there was either non-existent or was maybe just a couple of pages, and it just felt like it felt like it wasn't really worth me kind of getting them. But these kind of really scratch that. The SBG magazine really sort of scratches that itch, especially around the sort of the battle report side of things, which I think, I get that there's probably a lot of work that goes into battle reports, and I having done this one, I know how much work goes into it. So I'm sure it's much the same for White Dwarf as well. And as we said earlier, Middle Earth is probably not their biggest earner. So you can kind of understand why they don't have the coverage in there that we would probably like.
I think it is a shame because when they re-released Pelennor Fields, they had the really big battle report, and that was really nice. And I think occasionally they do some good stuff, but actually I stopped. I keep dipping in and out, and I've got one every so often. But I got one not so long ago, which was, I think it was ostensibly an Azog guide on how to play Azog and how to get the best out of him in a game. And I thought, that's a great idea. I've got a box of Gundabad's waiting to be built, and that's my next army project once I finally finish my Easterlings. And I thought, this is good. And I read it and I thought, this is not very good at all. And I just think it's because it felt like it was kind of rushed.
It's probably like a token, or maybe the editor turned around and said, "Well, actually, we've got a page to fill now. You know, who's got a page worth of content?" That
and I think Jay was probably rushed it out, and it wasn't great. It actually felt more like a 3-page telling of the rules of Azog rather than a strategic guide to how to use them in game, which I was a little bit disappointed about because Jay's a great player, he's a great writer, so maybe that's just a one-off and it wasn't great. But either way, I don't care because every year or twice a year we get one of these brilliant magazines, and if you've never read SBG magazine, then absolutely get on board with it because they're awesome. And I'm going to have a bit of a leaf through on a different camera, so I'm going to swap over. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Right, here we go. I'll have to move this around a bit because this is not great. But so this is what the new issue is, and I think it's been slightly delayed. I think they were hoping to release it a couple of.
I think this was good. I think it was going to come out at Scouring.
Yeah.
It may have been. I think they normally try and get one out for Ardacon because obviously that's a big time for them and things. But then I think because that obviously got cancelled, then I think it got moved to Scouring. I think then.
Carl Daly, and this is the magazine you need. This is literally what the whole segment is going to be about. So absolutely, Carl's just said, I've not bought White Dwarf for a year, and there's barely anything in it other than Middle Earth, and even the Middle Earth, I would argue, is not great anymore. But this is brilliant. SBG magazine, a Middle Earth fanzine. I'm going to buy the fans for the fans, and this is issue 10. So it's once a year. It's a £10 donation or thereabouts, but you get a proper magazine. And just have a look at some of the content in this. We've got Pelennor Field stuff. We've got guy with lots of elephants for some reason. We've got Aragorn. We've got lots of people around a table enjoying a game that looks insanely big. If you can see that,
it was huge.
It looks insane. And there you are, Ben, on the left.
I am indeed.
And it's really, really good. I'm Damien's watching, so it's so I'm not going to be too mean about it. But if I could be mean about it, I would really want to be mean, but no, I can't find anything to.
What I really love about it, and why I kind of got, because I think I bulk bought up to issue 5, I think it was, and it was nice to have something like, in your hand reading, because I think we read so much like on your phone or on online and things these days. It's nice to have like a magazine, because it's very rare that I buy a magazine, and whereas this is it feels like a proper publication, if that makes sense.
It's very. I mean, this is why it's £10, and I get that because it's going to cost them an awful lot of money to make and do. But the photography is outstanding. I'll have a leaf through. I don't want to read the whole thing, and I certainly don't want to go into too much detail about what's in it because it'll ruin it if you want to buy it. But this is the sort of stuff that you have in it. So there's obviously an editorial and all that introducing what's going on. There's just these little things that behind the scenes news snippets. I love this sort of stuff because this is what I used to love about White Dwarf. And to be fair, they still do a bit of that in White Dwarf now, with the kind of what's going on in the White Dwarf bunker. And this is that. So it's Rick. He's got a load of white Ent-erlude terrain. That's going to be amazing when that happens. He's building something for them, I'm sure. There's a quiz about how many spiders are in the magazine. There's an adorable picture of Damien's little girl and wife there baking a cake. And then there's the hobby blog, which is my favorite bits, actually. It's just finding out these little bits, just people just talking about the hobby, all Middle Earth related.
And it's they're all people that kind of were involved in the creation of this magazine.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's Ben there, looking glorious, and Dan, who's now a Middle Earth writer. He's a team for the Middle Earth team, so excellent. Or he will be in January. And this is great stuff. This is like think pieces, traditional think pieces, almost the kind of thing that Rick Priestley or Jervis Johnson, standard bearer, that sort of thing. If you ever remember those times, Jervis Johnson, White Dwarf, so that sort of stuff. But this is 3 pages nearly. This is 4 pages nearly. God, Damien, you need to get a good sub editor. I joke, of course, because this is amazing, celebrating the 10 issues, and it's got all these little box outs of Rick Fryer and people who built terrain and all this sort of stuff. And I know
it's going to sound quite sad as well, but reading some of Damien's previous ones and his almost like acceptance of becoming a nerd was kind of what made me a bit more. I know it sounds going to sound really, really weird now, but made me comfortable coming out to sort of people that I kind of know that I still play this game and that I've kind of rediscovered my love for this game. Now I'll talk to anybody about it and things, but whereas at one stage I was really kind of nervous about it, and it was reading. I can't remember which issue it is, but Damien kind of goes into it in a lot more detail about.
That is, I think it's the very first issue, because I was listening to the Out of the Frying Pan podcast where they talk about exactly this, coming out of the hobby closet, and it's interesting because it's one of those things that I never had a problem with it. I used to take my Warhammer stuff to school, and people would bully me. They call me basically like in between this briefcase wanker and all that sort of stuff.
Did you get them out of your briefcase? Is that what?
No. It was just the black. It was just the black kind of GW clays, the traditional one. I took them, and I used to come on the bus, so I had no choice. I had to do it. I couldn't go straight to the Warhammer Club guy and drop them off early in the morning. So I was on, and then eventually I was just like, you know what? I just don't care, and I can understand why people would. Because nobody wants to be bullied, and it's pretty shitty if you are bullied. But this article was really interesting. It's got this one from the first one, and it's got like Damien as little boy, poor 11-year-old, and all that sort of stuff. So I'd highly recommend it for that, and also to the Out of Frying Pan podcast. They talk about this because I didn't realise people have had such rough experiences. From talking about just toy soldiers. I don't know, maybe this was a bit like you then, but Dan from the things that he avoided, talking about it. He hides stuff in his goes to Games Workshop and buys it and puts it in a different bag. And Stu from the podcast said he'd thrown away a load of toys, of toy soldiers, because he didn't want people to find out that he had them. So he just threw them away. I'm like, oh, this is so sad. And then Damien,
I had a group of friends that used to sort of play with quite a lot, but I've got a friend now, and he still kind of plays, but he's almost embarrassed to talk to his wife about it. Like he's not. I bought him some stuff. I can't remember. I think it might have been his birthday or so. I bought him some stuff, and he's almost like got it hidden away in his house. And I just said, like, just embrace it. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are you so afraid of? Like, we're in our 30s now.
Yeah.
Like you can't be like afraid of it, but I still was, and it was I got to a 10-year anniversary of working for who I work for now, and you get like a gift, and I always wanted to ask for an airbrush, but I was really nervous about asking for this airbrush because I didn't want people to know. They'd be like, oh, what do you need an airbrush for? What's one of them? And then you have to start asking, answering these awkward questions. But yeah, it was one of those articles that I think it must have been that article that they were talking about that made me sort of realize actually it's not that big a deal.
I think it's an odd one because some people are probably just more comfortable with it anyway, or they've maybe it's because I had a big brother who was on the bus with me. I was less bothered by people taking the piss out of me having a Warhammer case, that sort of thing. And I guess I always used to display it proudly. I'd walk around the school with it. Like I wouldn't just put it in my locker and all that. I'd walk around with it and everything. And so people would just, mention it in passing. But after a while, it was fine, and people just kind of got on board. My friends, I've never had a problem. My friends have never said about it. They've been all fine. But it was always just, the football guys and all that sort of stuff who'd call me out for it. But there were definitely other people who went to the Warhammer Club who had, who were bullied or sort of picked on a little bit for it. But I always maybe it's just because I always had a comeback or something, it's like they say, oh, Warhammer briefcase one guy, say, well, at least not fat or whatever, it's fine. or whatever the equivalent was, I can't remember. But these sorts of things, I guess everyone takes their own time to become comfortable with
you
are, or accept I guess embracing those sorts of facets of yourself, and whether that's early or older or whenever. I don't think you should put any pressure on yourself to suddenly tell everyone that you play.
I don't think it's sort of the sort of thing that you need to sort of like go and sing it in the streets or anything. But it's it's now if somebody asks me about it, I'll just talk about it. It's it doesn't bother me. And I think a lot of people are in the same sort of position now.
I actually think it helps when it's the Lord of the Rings. I don't know whether it's because it's if I said like Space Marines or Necrons or Tau or whatever, people don't know what it is, or maybe they do if they've played like some of the 40k games on computer or whatever. But if you say, oh, I paint miniatures for the Lord of the Rings, and they're like, oh, cool, yeah, I remember those films. You like that? Yeah, and then say, yeah, and I also play games.
It's a bit more relatable, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think like the girlfriend, she's absolutely fine with it. She's never had a problem with it at all. She said she just likes the fact that you have something that you like doing, and it doesn't get in the way of her life. So it's like, well, why should you bother? So yeah. Absolutely.
And she knows that you're definitely not out like chasing other women and things. So it's.
I know Dan said a joke about this in the podcast. It's like, he goes off to Warhammer tournaments. It's not like he's pulling loads of birds with his
waving your Warhammer briefcase around.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I guess it's I'm intrigued at what people think, because this is a great topic anyway. And I wonder how, because I've always thought, oh yeah, okay, people give me a bit of stick for it, but I never really thought much into it. And I realised, well, actually, it could really had a lot of impact on people, growing up if you were bullied a lot for soldiers.
Personally, I don't think I was ever kind of bullied, but there was just almost like that sort of social stigma associated with it. That I just. That it was there when I was a kid, and then when I kind of came back into the hobby sort of 5 years ago, it felt like it was still there, even though I was like a man in my late 20s. It's just a bit weird. There was nothing like in particular that's really kind of made me afraid of talking about it or anything. But yeah, it's just a strange one.
I think trying to explain it to people is the difficult bit, and like it's when you say something, I don't know, like. Oh yeah, I don't roll dice and I do all this. Then it starts getting like, what is it then? I don't get it. Is it Airfix, or is it Lord of the Rings, or is it doing? And then I think, but I just say I play war games. I do war games with Lord of the Rings stuff, and they're like, oh, yeah. And I say, oh, I won one, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's good, and then they're like, oh, I painted this and I won a thing, or I didn't win a thing, or whatever, I built this thing, and yeah, it's that sort of stuff that I've always found interesting. Well, let's follow. Some people have put some interesting comments on, actually, because clearly it struck a nerve, and I'm glad you brought it up. Let me just scroll back through, because there's so many people in it. Joe says, I really want you to annoy Damien and find a spelling mistake in it. I've really looked. There's no spelling mistakes in SBG. We'll get back to that in a minute, but this is more interesting for a sec, because lots of people are commenting on it. Sorry, Battle of 5 Armies. Well, if you're watching Hobbit, I can't excuse you out of war, but thanks for joining anyway. It's nice to have a physical thing in your hand. Don't read anything interesting. I need a poo. Sorry about that. Here we go. Dan and Stu's latest podcast had a very interesting discussion on the subject. Yes, it did. Cheers, Ben. It means a lot. It's great to hear. Where we go. It's been good embracing the inner nerd this past year. Good. Yeah, I think we should. And you don't have to literally suddenly start posting pictures of all the stuff you paint on your own personal Facebook page or your own personal Instagram feed or whatever. But, not hiding from it is just as valuable, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely.
Anders says, yeah, the hobby closet is a weird one. I still don't actively talk about it with people, really. I guess it depends who your friends are, right? If they've never mentioned it, but you never know. Someone you work with may well be really interested in it. In fact, at work the other day, I got Rick Priestley on. I work in BBC local radio. Got Rick Priestley on because he's from Lincoln, to talk about hobbies during lockdown and how they've seen a boost. There were things about Airfix and other companies getting profits, and he was talking about it, and one of my colleagues was like, oh god, yeah, Rick Priestley, he used to do 40k, and then he applied for a job at to be a Warhammer copywriter because I brought it up at work, and he's started a Blood Bowl team and everything. So it just shows you never know. I thought he was pretty cool, and that's what even cooler.
That's what I found with people. You start talking about it, and all of a sudden, all these nerds start coming out of the woodwork.
Mm-hmm. They might not all be interested in it now, but they might say, "Oh yeah, I used to do Space Marines or whatever," or "Oh yeah, I've always wanted to do that again," and then they kind of get put off a little bit. But I think Stu said he's actually threw the stuff away when he was moving out house after not doing anything with it. It'd been hidden in his bed for that house for years. Though. Oh, okay, so he didn't throw it away just because he didn't want to share with people. Either way, I misinterpreted that. Apologies. Nathan says, really interesting topic. I know Out of the Fire guys mention it a lot. There's probably a massive content geared towards being proud of your idiosyncrasies. Absolutely. Dan from Out of the Frying Pan, yet still affects me to this day. Don't know why I'm still closeted about it these days. No reason to be, but some things live with you. Doing the cast has helped break out of it there. Well, I'm glad it's helped. It was like a group therapy session listening to the Out of the Frying Pan podcast. Ben, if you haven't heard it, I'd definitely check it out.
I've not listened to that one yet, but I will do.
Yeah, it's I don't know whether it's the most recent one. I'm not always completely up to date with them, but just listening to an hour is really good. Absolutely, definitely helps when it's Lord of the Rings. As Damien rightly said on the cast, Lord of the Rings made fantasy cool. It's mainstream now. Yeah, absolutely mainstream, and things like Game of Thrones and all that sort of stuff. It's really popular, isn't it? People come out easier to being LGBT these days than they do being a geeky nerd. I'm not quite sure it's the same thing, but yeah, fair enough. Anything to keep you out of her hair, Harry. Yeah, that's what Louise thinks. Better than spending it on hookers and coke. Yeah, I'm not sure. Depending on how much money you spend on GW, I'm not quite sure. Yeah, GW cases get all the girls, of course they do. Max, so they do in my dreams. Probably not cheaper than the hookers and coke. It's a lot easier since the films. There's more people like Lord of the Rings and fantasy now, more likely to be accepting of fantasy. Yeah, I 100% agree. If there are any younger toy soldier players out there concerned about their social standing, I can promise you the wide world is far more accepting of individuality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's this thing when you're at school. It's like that classic sort of high school movie trope, isn't it? Where you have like your football guys and your goth guys, and then the preps or whatever in America. But and I think you kind of, when you're at school or at secondary school, and maybe even at university, you feel like you have to belong in a group. But I think when you're in the world of work, there isn't really a group necessarily, because everyone's working in the same office or in the same workplace or whatever it is. So you're kind of already in your work group. So you don't really care if everyone's a little bit different. It's strange that. I don't know why. But
it's character building, and it makes people interesting and different. And there's people that I kind of talk to again with work, and you find out like they've got really unusual hobbies, and it's fascinating to hear them sort of talk so passionately about something as well. And I think if everybody was the same, and everyone kind of fell into that, as you say, like the preps or the jocks or whatever kind of clique that that you kind of think that they should be, and it just makes people quite sort of dull and boring. Whereas people are really passionate about something, they make for far more interesting people.
100% agree. Aaron says, I think it helps that it's now Marvel games, Harry Potter games, and Game of Thrones. I think the diversity of games has helped the appeal and acceptance of it. Yeah, and board games as well. Board games are the different kinds of board games. I still haven't converted all of my friends to play Lord of the Rings or any of the 40k stuff, but they're really big board game fans. But yeah, as a reference to that, I've done the Harry Potter model.
Oh, cool.
From the night. They're really lovely models. The game is absolute trash. Do not play that game. It's crap. There's literally parts of that game you cannot do. It's like it says
there's no rules for them. Do you know, I don't even play that game, but I know because there's certain people from the community that constantly comment on night models Facebook. Whenever they put a post out, it's the same people posting like, when can we have the rules for this? It's really become a bit of a meme now.
It is, but I painted them up with the intention of playing like a mini game, basically using Harry, Ron, and Hermione as like Gandalf, I don't know, Saruman and Elrond or something like that, and having the Death Eaters as the Ring Raiders of Nazgul, so that we could play a mini game for Louise. But I just never get around to it because I couldn't be bothered. Then what else we got? So yes, true. Plus some people who started 20 years ago are still here now, and we're all old and no longer care. Yeah, I think we're probably just, once you get old enough, you think, oh, is there any point hiding playing toy soldiers? I don't know, probably not.
Why'd you spend your time hiding from something that you spend so much time doing?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Broadsword Gaming says, is this now? Yes. Hello. Hi, Oliver. It's nice to see you again. I actually, Oliver's just put up a new, some sort of loads of pictures about his converting of his new hobby zone on Broadsword Gaming. I know you did yours earlier in the year, but he's got like some really cool stuff going on. So 2021 is going to be amazing on Broadsword Gaming. I played a battle report with him on Jack, and I played a battle report anyway, and we did some great Lord of the Rings stuff. It looked really awesome. I really would like to get back over there to play some more stuff when your new studio's up and the world is in cool place. Anyway,
I hope to go over there.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's done some really great stuff. And actually, I just before we move on, I think earlier in the year I introduced Louise to the hobby and did and convinced her to play Warhammer. And not long after, or maybe before, I can't remember which round it was. He started getting his girlfriend involved, Cara, I think it is, and she's all over all of his stuff now because it's just funny seeing her painting her first models and all this stuff.
She's getting more views than Oliver now as well. So,
yeah, no,
he's not bitch about it at all.
No, I'm sure he isn't. Anyway, nice to see you. Thanks for joining in. Harry says, I'm definitely super open about it with my mates. I'm back to hobby being in the closet. My hobby stuff is in the same room as my Ace PC, so I always show that off in the minis as a side piece. Yeah, my friends come over and visit, and if they're staying in the spare room, they have to surround themselves with cabinets and stuff, so of toy soldiers and Kira Thungle. I think the current rise of the fantasy genre in general kind of kills the stigma. The whole world watch Game of Thrones. Yeah, that's true. Harry, the more you normalize it yourself and be open, the more normal it will seem to everyone else. Yes, that's kind of what I do. I just say, oh, I'm at a tournament this weekend. They're like, and if someone doesn't know what I mean, I just say, oh yeah, I play like toy soldiers and stuff, and they're like, oh, okay. Nobody really cares. It's just something else. Whenever I explain it to anyone, I get one or two reactions. Oh, like Warhammer, or I wish I had a hobby I could pick up like that. That's an interesting, because I do wonder what people do with their time. Because when I'm, I like films and I like TV series and stuff, but
there's only so much time you can spend doing that, isn't there?
Yeah, you can't just sit and watch it all the time. Like, I might sit for an hour or two in the evening and watch something, but I couldn't do it just and melt into the sofa. It ought to be awful. Nathan, can you share a link to the Rick Priestley segment you mentioned? Not very easily, if I'm honest. I've interviewed him on this channel, but what I'm referring to is he came onto Radio Lincolnshire a month or so ago and talked about hobbies in lockdown, and I couldn't tell you what day it was. It was a long time ago now, a month ago. So apologies, but yeah, feel free to watch my interview of him. He was very good. Luke, I think it's when people don't understand, which can have a negative response from certain types. Programs like Game of Thrones are definitely helping the wider world appreciate nerdy hobbies, though. Yes. Michael says, I managed to get a photo of Smaug into a company blog 4 years ago, which meant everyone knew. I love
That's
it.
good going, that.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if you've got a painted version of Smaug, you want to show that off. And I think Michael's told me before that he ended up painting it and just leaving it at the local GW, and it's still on display or something now, which is nice.
Is it in the Chester one, I believe?
Yeah, I think he said that. I don't know. But it certainly was for a long time. A lot of my mates said they wish they had time and patience to do it. I wish I did too. Good. God, we're getting loads of comments. All right. Joe says, I mean, Superman's a war gamer now. Hollywood stars are playing D&D. Nerdy activities are much cooler than ever right now. Yes, I can't remember the. Did you watch that film Baby Driver? Anyway, there's a film called Baby Driver, and the lead actor is called Ansel Elgort. And I don't know how I think I was just watching the film and just had a scroll on his Instagrams and stuff, and he posted a video of him painting like Warhammer and stuff like that on his feed or his story or something like that. And and Superman, what's his name?
Henry Cavill was painting some 40k stuff earlier this year, and he's building his PC and stuff.
He's quite
he's quite hench, isn't he? He's not your stereotypical kind of nerd. And then have you ever watched the TV series Community?
No.
There's a couple of episodes of that where they play D&D in like a really kind of funny way, and it's I think that kind of as along with loads of other stuff, help kind of normalize it, and people, but I think especially when you think of things like D&D, it's like nerds in basements and things like that, whereas it couldn't be further from the truth now. It's a social gathering for most people now.
I think sadly the Stranger Things made it look put D&D back on the map as a very nerdy thing,
but then that was the 80s. That was meant to be based in the 80s, which I think back then it probably was a little bit more.
Yeah, but the I think because you see cafes, gaming cafes and all that sort of stuff popping up all over the country now. I think it's on every street corner. Right, let's rattle through a few of these because I'm conscious that it's getting to 11 o'clock and we haven't finished talking about SBG. Sean Weimer just received his Slytherin trait. I was so happy for him. I never wanted anything more than it had no effect on my life.
I am so happy for him. Yeah. Sean was one of the people that I was thinking about earlier.
Oh, there you go. I have no idea what that even refers to. The game is crap, so don't play the Night Models game. Harry Potter's a bit panchier, is, but obviously if someone's a fan, that's cool too. I like the books. The books are brilliant, but you know, right. Let's Ollie. That Louise Battle Report video was really cool. We're well overdue a sequel. Well, we got a second one. If you watched the Kira Thungle one, I got her involved in that, I think. So there is a sort of second one. Could be worse, having cabinets of creepy looking dolls. Yeah, it's true. There's loads of weird things. But then, you know, I don't even hobby. You're all nerds.
You're still going to golfing weekends, Steve.
Yeah. Yes, I think Steve did say that, didn't he? He said he used to go away for the weekend, taking golf clubs with him just to cover up from. That's crazy. Steve, Lord of the Nerds, quite. Steve, I've always meant to ask what the response was like the first time the lads from the trade saw your videos. Yeah, I'd be intrigued actually. Steve, comment down. Trade lads can be brutal, lol. I only told my work lads and trade mates last year. You know the word here that's quite obvious? Lads. You can tell the type. You don't like it. Lads don't like it. If you haven't watched Communities, you seriously should. I will try that. Community's awesome. There you go. Okay, maybe I should. 6 seasons under movie.
Yes.
Personally, think the popularity. This is true. Big Bang Theory might have helped as well. Yeah, they were so. But I don't know whether you're laughing at the guys in Big Bang Theory or with them. I think by the end you're probably laughing with them. At the start, you were definitely laughing at them. And there we go. Some stuff about. There we go. Right. Okay. We got to the bottom of it. Right. Okay. Well, it's a good point. I mean, I love talking about these things. And I think generally, like you say, if you put it out there, then people will. I think people kind of, if you normalize something, people think it's normal and therefore are less likely to bully you or take the piss. But everyone gets a bit of flack for something in their life, and why not be something that you spend your time, spend all your time doing? I don't really care. So that's just me.
So back to my original point, it was the article in the SBG magazine that made helped me come out as a wargamer.
Yeah, that was probably a half an hour detour, but anyway, so this was what we were doing. We were looking through the new issue of SBG. If you're only just joining me in the last 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you wouldn't have known at all what we're talking about. But yeah, so this is the new issue of SBG. This is the Doctor's Corner, what we're talking about, this kind of think piece idea. And there's always something to talk about. And this has been 10 issues, 7 years of reminiscing of people just who've been involved in the magazine over the time. It's been great. And like you said, in one of the issues, it was the coming out of the hobby closet. In other issues, it's been various other things. Like I think Tom did one about like his old friend and how he got playing the game. Like they used to use special rules that they had like different. Anyway, so it was all really cool. They're all really interesting. And there's a painting guide for the ring raids, which is really simple. And Damien keeps going on about this on his stream. He says, I've painted another one using the Kev Lawrence's painting masterclass, which nobody has seen yet, and he keeps saying it's a great tutorial guide. You really should use it. It's like, yeah, we would do, but it's not out yet. But here it is. It is actually very, very straightforward. It's just sort of dry brushing, which is really cool. It looks great as well. And then
Kev's great as well.
Yeah, he's an amazing painter. So I mean, look, you can't quite make it out, but this is the quality of the photography that hopefully it's showing up really well.
Yeah.
This is probably my favourite column, and sorry, Damien, but anytime Tom does maths, I think it's absolutely fantastic. This is so he did the most valuable profiles, he did the most sort of points efficient profiles, all that sort of stuff. They're just so much fun and so interesting because I'm not a competitive player, so it's really interesting to see how they do the maths. But this is they're predicting. Who is the most points efficient model in the Lord of the Rings trilogy? And this has been teased ahead from issue 9. I won't reveal the answer because it would ruin it, but definitely check it out because that is really good. It's so much fun, these articles, and people have a good guess.
Not to clickbait it, but the results will shock you.
The results will absolutely shock you. There's always one feature that's kind of written by someone else about something, whether gaming or whatever, and Dan, who's now going to be writing for the Middle Earth rules team itself, he's done a write-up of his mummox, which I mean, look at that photography, that is ace.
Yeah, it's amazing. Honestly, seeing them all on the table at once, it was just like this. It was like a proper spectacle.
Yeah, it really looks it. And then Steve Crow, he's in there. It's a nice photo of Steve, I think. And we've got some Aragorn content. So it's like why my favourite character is Aragorn. There's two, and actually there's some great some great little jokes. They're just jokes like this. Renewed Shelby Blade that was 35 points overcosted. Some great jokes like that are really, really fun. So yeah, I'd highly recommend SBG for that. But this is what you really want it for. I mean, you can't even fit it all in the camera. Look at that. And the lights shining on it. That is beautiful. I mean, this is like, it's like idealistic kind of, this is what you buy these magazines for, because you want to see, you want kind of think, oh, I'd love to do that one day. And you don't get a chance to do it because you just don't have the time or the effort or whatever. But these guys are living it and bringing
honestly,
it.
That was an amazing, like, because we're sort of positioning all the models out on the table, and they'd be going through and you'd like take a photo and you'd be up on the PC and you'd be looking through, like all the details things, and you'd be like, right, that one needs to turn sort of like 20 degrees that way, so it's like facing the right way, and that one needs, I can't quite see that one's face, so I need to turn that one. And like, it just took ages to get the right shot, but obviously it's completely worth it when it's such a big shot like that.
Yeah, and how long did it take you to do this battle report? Because I think it's 6,000 points or something stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, it took us a long time to play it, but we were when we were moving, everything wasn't exactly measured. We were rolling bucket loads of dice at a time, so it was we not that we streamlined it at all, but there was you couldn't do it. You couldn't do it if you were trying to play 6,000 points worth of models and move them around and measure each one, individually, it would have taken forever. So there was a little bit of kind of mass movement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, it just says 6,375 points of good facing up against 6,452 points of evil, which is just insane. And look at all these people involved. All of the heroes: Theoden, Aemir, Dernhelm, Gamling, Daewin, Elfhelm, one captain, 113 riders of Rohan, and 27 royal guard. Then there's Return of the King, Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, King of the Dead, Heralds of the Dead, 155 warriors of the dead, 13 riders of the dead. The army of Gothmog's enforcer, Gurwitz, 5 Morannon captains, 258 Morannon orcs. It's insane. It really is insane. And you know what my favourite thing about it is? I'm not going to reveal the end, but my favourite thing is the first thing Steve does in the whole game is he gets Aragorn on the board and he rolls a 111 and loses 2 wounds on Aragorn. It was so good. I thought that is such a Steve thing to do, and it's so
it really is. It really is.
It was great, and you know what? I've never had so much fun. Reading a magazine. It's been a long time since I was very young reading a magazine and enjoying it this much. So honestly, if someone was saying earlier, if you, I can't remember who it was it Dale or someone? It's lots of comments back, but either way, I would highly recommend SBG magazine generally, not just to issue 10. I mean, there are some of the earlier magazines, the one I mentioned, issue 1. The rules are a little bit out of date, but the point kind of it's still worth reading.
There's plenty in there that's kind of timeless, if that makes sense. So
if you haven't read them, I mean, for example, in the first issue, there's an amazing masterclass of how to paint a white horse, which just looks gorgeous. There's some undercosted warriors, which even though they're not quite the same points anymore, it's still really interesting. And there's that one we were talking about earlier, the hobby closet stuff. And that's Tactica with Cavalry, which again is still relevant now, even if it's not quite the same rules for some of the comments. It's just worth knowing that the new edition came out after this. And then there's battle reports, and battle reports are great fun. So even with the rules changes, they're still good fun. And even actually, I know Damien says he doesn't like the fact that they had events diaries. Events diaries maybe not, but having tournament reviews, I quite like all these little photos and stuff. It feels like the back pages of the White Dwarf. I know he probably won't put them back in because you're only going to get one a year and all that, and it's unfair if you only go to one and feature it. But either way, I think if feature tournaments would be still a great idea for the magazine. But there you go, that's SBG issue 10, which is amazing. And being involved in it must have been the honour of the SBG community.
Honestly, it was amazing. Like when they asked me, I was just properly sort of shocked. And I did the advent calendar that they did last year as well.
Yeah, that was great. And
so actually, one of the daily ones there.
I think you can still get that as well if you're in the Great British Hobbit League. If you just go to the Files tab on the Great British Hobbit League, you can download the. If you scroll around, look for the SBG Advent Calendar, and it's brilliant. It's really, really good fun, and it's free.
Such entertaining stuff in there, yeah.
So yeah, find that
and to get to go down and just kind of witness the whole process from start to finish. Well, not necessarily from start to finish, but kind of seeing, all the sort of photo shoot and, playing the game and everything. And like literally this, to get the photos is a full weekend job. Like, we were up until, I think we went to bed at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Then we were up next morning for kind of 8 o'clock to start again and like reset. And like literally, there's just moving piles and piles of models backwards and forwards to the table to get the different shots. Yeah, it was just it was so interesting. And like, as somebody who kind of like flick through the magazine, you go, oh, that's a nice picture, but then you don't appreciate the amount of positioning and work that has gone in to get that one shot. And yeah, it's given me a whole new appreciation for the work that goes into the magazine.
It really is very, very good. I'm just checking I've just so basically, if anyone wants to get hold of this, just email the team. It's not like available on a shop or on a website or anything like that, because it's a fanzine. And I wonder whether there might be legality issues around actually selling it in a different way. I know they have to call it a fanzine. They have to say donations. But either way, it's way better than White Dwarf. Way better than White Dwarf if you're a fan of the Middle-earth strategy battle game. So 100% get it. Email them and just say something along the lines of, how do I get a magazine? Or can I buy all of the magazines? And I believe there's a discount deal if you buy 10 or more or whatever, if you've never had them before. It'll be a costly investment if you bought all 12 or 10, including the extra couple of issues. But it'd be well worth it. You'll have so many hours and hours.
You can read them back, because I occasionally do that. It might be a year or two since I last read some of the issues. So I can just go back and read them again, and, you can enjoy them all over again.
I've definitely.
Oh, I think you're frozen.
Hello, I'm back.
Hello, are you back?
I think so.
Yeah, you're back now. I had that kind of panic, like frozen in the headlights moment again.
I'm going a bit glitchy, I think. So I did say my internet was crappy, but it seems to have held up for the whole thing. But anyway, yeah, I would definitely recommend SBG Magazine. Get in touch with the email there, sbgmagazine@gmail.com. I'll put I'll copy and paste it into the description below. And yeah, it's a great way to start the year. It would be 2024. I actually don't know when it's released. That's the one thing I don't know, because I got it early and I didn't ask Damien. Damien will probably comment below. I know it's winter 2020. So hopefully he'll comment below and tell us when it's out. But if you email them, I'm sure they'll tell you when you can buy all the rest of them. So yeah, there you go. Oh, and Michael says, Damien and Tom did a series of 5 making of issue 3 videos, which give an insight into how much work goes in. It's Herculean. There you go. Excellent. Right. Ben, I think that's going to pretty much sum everything up. That's my notes. That's everything that I got to cover. We managed to cover a fair amount in a much longer amount of time. So I guess that's it for the show. Thank you very much, Ben, for joining us for the 2 hours. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk hobby, especially in this in-betwixtmas period where we're not quite between New Year and not quite between Christmas, but hopefully people have got some painting done. I should probably have a quick look in there, because I keep saying that post stuff in there, and I don't know whether anyone actually has or not, but it'd be worth having a quick gander to see what people have had a look at. Oh, I see the progress on the Gorgoroth Beast has come along well, Frederick, by the look of it, and a Howder. Oh, look at that, done well. Well, either way, there you go. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I know the internet's not been quite as good as it used to be, but it'll be back to normal, hopefully, again. And there you go. It's out and available to order now. We're going to start posting them out in mid-January, so you won't get your copy until January. But 100%, get an SBG magazine. And I suppose with that, we say goodbye to Ben. Goodbye. Thanks very much for joining us.
For having me.
All the best. All the best. I'll drop you out and cheerio. And I shall sign off now. Basically, just saying it's nearly the new year, nearly 2021. We've got vaccines ready to inject into our bloodstreams as soon as possible. And hopefully 2021 will bring us much more opportunity to play the game that we love so many more times with our friends. So thank you very much for watching. And I shall drop in and do another live at some point randomly. I need to probably sort of set a day for this, otherwise people won't be bothered and joining in. But I'll try. I'll be back. We'll do Entmoot live, and I've got an Entmoot podcast ready to go in the new year as well. So thanks very much for watching. All the best, and happy New Year, I suppose. Cheerio. Goodbye. Bye bye. This is awkward.